call this meeting to order. It is 6:01 p.m. I can declare that we do have a board quorum present. The mission of Brazosport ISD is to graduate each student to be future ready. If you will please stand for our invocation, which will be led by Mr. Joe Reinhardt, and our pledges of allegiance, which will be led by Mr. Ackerman.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we're here to serve you tonight, as we are every day. We're here to serve the students and the families of our school district as well. We ask that you be with us as we discern the information that we have. Let us move forward in every way that's a positive for every student at BISD. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. If you will join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the next flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
I'd like to ask the board to begin making its way to the front as we transition into our award, achievements, and recognition time. We will now move to the awards. Once all recognitions are completed, then we'll move on to our regular agenda.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started tonight with our one and only recognition we have, and that is for our Spotlight Educators. The purpose of the BISD Educator Spotlight Award is to recognize outstanding teachers across our district. These are the teachers who go above and beyond for not only students, but for their coworkers as well. When I call your name, if you could please come stand next to our superintendent, Mr. Massey. Our secondary spotlight teacher is Ms. Yasmin Guerrero from Brazosport High School. And our elementary spotlight teacher is Ms. Elizabeth Eichmeyer from Polk Elementary. Ms. Yasmin Guerrero is a 10th grade English teacher at Brazosport High School. Ms. G's campus stated that she is without a doubt the most loving and dedicated teacher they have had the pleasure to work with. She embodies the principles of capturing kids' hearts every day she steps into the building, creating an environment where every student feels seen and empowered to succeed. Her peers state that she's developmentally responsive to young adolescents. Ms. G takes the time to create lessons that are relevant and engaging so her students will be successful in their learning. With kindness, patience, and a deep commitment to her students, she maximizes every opportunity to make a positive impact. Ms. Elizabeth Eichmeyer is a special education teacher at Polk Elementary. Her campus recognizes her as a shining example of dedication and excellence in education. Through her relentless commitment in closing academic gaps, she ensures that every student reaches their full potential by using data-driven instruction and targeted interventions. She actively collaborates and co-teaches with colleagues, fostering a supportive and inclusive environment for all. Beyond her own students, Ms. Eichmeyer provides invaluable classroom management and behavior support strategies to both teachers and students, creating a positive and structured atmosphere for learning. Additionally, she generously shares best practices with district special education teachers, serving as a mentor and leader in her field. Her passion and expertise make a lasting impact on her students, colleagues, and the entire community. Thank you both.
Where's your baseball cap?
I'll take a couple and then anybody else is welcome to. All right, we're here.
concludes our awards and recognition time for this evening. At this time, in accordance with BED Local, the board will provide an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting to address the board. Tonight, we have one for a non-agenda item. Mr. Atkins will serve as our timekeeper for those that are requesting to speak. Please note that comments are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker, with a maximum of 30 minutes total allotted for public comment. Delegations of more than 5 persons shall appoint a representative to present the views of the board. The board will not entertain negative comments on individual personnel or students in the public session. Patrons are encouraged to use appropriate campus and administration channels before bringing concerns to the attention of the board, and board members are not allowed to deliberate, discuss, or make decisions regarding any subjects not included on the agenda that is posted. And so tonight, Mr. William Gearson? Yep. You come up to our podium, sir, please.
Good afternoon. So, I've been making a few inquiries over the past few weeks. I've even called up here to y'all's building, asking to speak to people numerous times. Cannot even get a phone call back. So I've gone about it a different way, and I've contacted not only the state auditor's office, I've contacted the attorney general's office, I've contacted the DA's office, and I've contacted the TEA about issues and concerns that I have with this school district. Unfortunately, I have to take those routes, and I have to take the information that they give me and what I can pull from the online reports on this school district, since I cannot get phone calls back. A couple things I want to start off with, and this all leads into while I'm here tonight. 53% of third graders cannot read at grade level. 45% of eighth graders cannot read at grade level. 59% of third and eighth graders do not meet grade level math. Those are pulled directly from the TEA website from this school district. It appalls me of those numbers when I see the numbers, financial numbers, the amount of money that this school is requesting from taxpayers. It blows my mind. A 2014 bond of $175 million. A 2019 bond of $267 million. A bond for 2025 where y'all are asking for $167 million. So I started digging into it more, started looking at it. That equates currently to $27,568 of debt per student. If this new bond goes through, that will add $14,418 of debt per student in this district. I started digging into this more. I started looking at the bonds and what they were used for and how it related to what the school district was putting out this money was used for. I pulled a nice little sheet that y'all post online saying, hey, we're going to do this with the high school, we're going to do this, we're going to, like the majority of people here tonight, Stephen F. Austin, $18.7 million. I'm like, where's this money going? I don't see the correlation between the money and what is being done. So I called up here to get answers, can't get phone calls back. So I started calling around, and it's an interesting thing that I found out. I call it deception. That's what I call it. When I see y'all put those nice little memos out and say, this is what we're going to use the money for, I see these nice little YouTube videos with Mr. Massey himself saying, hey, this is what we're going to use this for. I'm like, as a voter, I'm like, okay, this is what we're going for. Because after checking the laws and everything else, if you say a bond is for this, it has to be used for that. But there's a little loophole in that. I did not know this. I've educated myself over the past few weeks. It doesn't matter what those papers say that y'all put out. They mean nothing. It does not matter the YouTube videos you put out saying you're going to do this. They mean nothing. When you go to that booth to vote on that bond, if it's got 3 little blocks that say we're going to use it for maintenance across all campuses, we're going to use it for rebuilding across all campuses, and we're going to use it for vehicles. At that point, us as taxpayers have wrote you a blank check. Because as long as you fall inside those 3 categories, not one of us taxpayers can say a thing to you about what you do for that money. And that is straight from the AG, the DA, and the state auditor's office. There's nothing as us as taxpayers who give you that money can say to you about how you spend it at that point. You can reallocate it, put it where you want it, send it how you want it. Y'all are asking for $420,000 for fleet vehicles. Nice driving around those Expedition Maxes. I wish I could afford them. I do. I own a bunch of them. Y'all drive them. I forgot about that. The $8.9 million y'all requested for major maintenance and new buses, but then you're coming back asking for another almost $2 million on this one. I'm sorry, I love law enforcement. I've done law enforcement myself. I'm a disabled veteran. I served the military 12 and a half years. I get it. I understand what these guys do out here patrolling the roads. BISD police officers do not use the vehicles to the same capacity as normal law enforcement. The reason y'all are turning these vehicles over and spending another $500,000 on them this year baffles me. Y'all drive nice luxury vehicles, all these other things, but the schools, I will give it to y'all. When y'all are gone, everybody's going to look at that high school across the road and go, wow, look at that thing. Forget all the other schools. I've been with Polk for 7 years as my kids have gone through there. I've been amazed the way that school's been neglected. All these other elementaries have been neglected. A large group of people here tonight are probably here to talk to you about a certain elementary school at $18.7 million that have been neglected. But you scrape together $7.7 million to build a swimming pool. You know what that could do for those numbers? 53%, 45%, 59%. So I'm going to dig into this more. I'm going to start requesting financial records. I'm going to start requesting everything I can find. This is not the first nor the last time you will see me. Y'all will be held accountable for these funds. This is uncalled for.
Can we
Next item that we have on our agenda is our consent agenda. Are there any items requested to be pulled from the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Can you speak into the microphone? We can't hear in the back.
All right, so, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. And so I asked if there's any items to be pulled from the consent agenda by the board members.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. Before we vote, we will allow public comments from individuals who signed up prior to the meeting to talk about any consent agenda. We did not have any who signed up, but we do have a motion before us. It has been moved and seconded. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed by nay. All right, that carries. Next item that we have are action items, and public comment will be allowed before a vote is taken on each of our action items. Tonight, our first action item is the reconfiguration of the Stephen F. Austin Elementary School attendance zone, which I know most of the folks in the room that I see are here about that. So we have a presentation, and then we'll be able to have those who would like to speak. And I think we have about 7 or 8 who have signed up. Mr. Mayor? Yeah. Still waiting on that?
We still can't hear y'all in the back.
Okay, we're waiting for the presentation to start. I'm sorry, yeah, waiting for the presentation to start. Sorry. Excuse me. Oh, sure. Cynthia's gonna share this. Thank you. In accordance with Board Policy FDB Local and District 04, Brazosport ISD will exercise fiscal responsibility to ensure financial strength and provide these resources to equip and maintain quality facilities and educational programming. Tonight, I will present for consideration the reconfiguration of Stephen F. Austin Elementary attendance zone for the 6th graders. Brazosport ISD proudly serves students across 7 municipalities: Clute, Freeport, Jones Creek, Lake Jackson, Oyster Creek, Richwood, and Surfside, and we are committed to providing a quality learning experience for each student we serve. Brazosport ISD had an enrollment of 12,364 students in the 2018-19 academic year, with projections estimating an increase of 12,886 students by the 24-25 school year. At SFA, enrollment was 312 students in 2018-19, with a projected increase to 354 students by the 24-25 school year. SFA holds a special place in the hearts of the Jones Creek community and to BISD. The strong sense of community and identity associated with SFA is a testament to its significance and the lasting impact it has on students and families. In the 2019 bond program, we included funds to rebuild the campus. The design of the replacement school was completed and went out to bid in March of 2020, at which point COVID hit and delayed the project. The subsequent year, the floodplains changed, and coupled with inflation, the project was on hold. The district has faced several other challenges during this time period. District-wide enrollment decline, rapid inflation, coupled with stagnant state funding, has resulted in a deficit budget of $11 million for the 24-25 school year. The cost to operate Stephen F. Austin is $2.1 million. Why student enrollment declines? With 1,270 fewer students, district enrollment was at 11,094 in 2024, and results in a loss of over $7.8 million in funding, since we're funded by student enrollment average daily attendance. Multiple factors include the global pandemic, decreasing population, lack of available housing, competitive housing developments along the 288 corridor, homeschooling being more accessible, and even damages to residentials from Hurricane Beryl have all contributed to a decline in student enrollment. To adjust to decrease in enrollment, the district had to adjust and consolidate feeder patterns in order to create operational efficiencies. The Freeport feeder pattern was first reconfigured in the 16-17 school year when O.A. Fleming Elementary and Jane Long Elementary were configured with different grade levels to better utilize available space at each campus. Then at the start of the 17-18 school year, Jane Long Elementary School was closed due to low enrollment and consolidated with Fleming and Velasco Elementaries. In the 18-19 school year, the new Freeport Elementary School opened up and served students in grades pre-K through 2. Velasco served students in 3rd and 4th grade, which led to the closing of Jane Long and Fleming Elementary Schools. Then a few years later, at the start of the 23-24 school year, due to declining enrollment and campuses operating under building capacity, Velasco Elementary School was closed and students were zoned to Freeport Elementary and Lanier. For the 24-25 school year, to better utilize available spaces and resources more effectively, grades were reconfigured for Freeport Elementary to serve grades pre-K through 2nd, Lanier grades 3, 4, 5, and Freeport Intermediate grades 6, 7, 8. Elizabeth Ney Elementary School in Lake Jackson served as a pre-K center, serving only pre-K students in Lake Jackson until last school year. The 3 Lake Jackson elementary schools of Boydell, Brandon, and Roberts had enough capacity in the building to serve the pre-K students, so Ney was repurposed for Brazos Success Academy, which was housed at the old Lake Jackson Intermediate School. Next school year, Ney will be closed completely and Brazos Success Academy will relocate. Specifically for SFA, enrollment has declined from 326 students in 2019 to 193 students in August of 2024. With no indicators of new growth and the declining population in Jones Creek, the total school-aged children living in Jones Creek is approximately 220. With the district-wide enrollment declines, it is difficult to depend on other BISD campuses to increase enrollment at SFA, and BISD now must navigate a financial challenge and ensure compliance with the TEA comparability requirements in order to sustain SFA. While we can't depend on BISD campuses to increase enrollment at SFA, we currently do and will continue to allow for and approve student transfers for SFA, just like we do at every other BISD campus except for Brannon Elementary. There are currently 22 students that transfer to SFA, 2 of which are out-of-district transfers, and 20 are from other BISD campuses. A total of 43 SFA students transfer out to other BISD campuses, and there are 15 SFA students that are transferred out of the district to private school or to homeschool. When SFA's enrollment declined at the end of last year to approximately 250 students, the district became out of compliance with the required comparable spending threshold set by the Texas Education Agency. If the spending threshold was not met, the district would not receive approximately $2.3 million in Title I funds. Based on approximately 250 students, spending at SFA had to be reduced by $252,000 for this school year. In an effort to keep the school open, we reduced the required needed amount of spending by replacing almost half the teaching staff with teacher apprentices. Then, when we planned for the school to open this school year, there were 57 students less than from May, and the campus enrollment was down to 193, which meant an immediate reduction of another $290,000 in spending to meet the comparability requirements to keep the campus open for the remainder of this school year. Comparability of services is a fiscal requirement for school districts that receive Title I Part A funds under the Every Student Succeeds Act. This requirement is an assessment of state and local funds used to provide services at each of the Title I campuses to ensure they are substantially comparable, taken as a whole, before Title I funds can be used. Substantially comparable is defined as 90 to 100% of all comparison campuses. Presented here is the cost per student at the start of the 24-25 school year. Cost per student at SFA was $9,002, which is 126% of the average and outside the 90 to 100% comparability zone. Cost per student at Brannon, Rasco, and Roberts are below the 90% average cost per student, so more reductions had to be made at SFA to keep the school open again for the rest of this school year. If the district is not in compliance, it will lose $2.3 million each year in Title I funding, which supports critical education programs and people, not just at SFA, but across the entire district, including funding for 37 teachers and staff. These funds provide resources for math and reading interventionists, instructional coaches, paraprofessionals, communities and schools case managers, and after-school tutorials, instructional materials, and professional development. With the mandate to maintain compliance with comparability and ensure the district does receive $2.3 million in Title I funding, there is a need to reconfigure the SFA attendance boundaries. TEA has provided conflicting information regarding solutions to the campus comparability threshold. This guidance states that there is no waiver and the district must be compliant or lose Title I funding. This was an email sent to Representative Cody Basut's office. In a subsequent email, there was guidance regarding if Jones Creek could become its own independent school district, similar to Damon ISD, a campus comparability exclusion was shared over this past weekend. We received information from TEA that there is an exception and SFA can be excluded if the enrollment is less than half of the enrollment of the campus in the grade span group nearest in enrollment. The exclusion criteria now SFA meets and is a campus that is excluded if the enrollment is less than half of the grade span of the group nearest of enrollment. The campus that is nearest in enrollment to Polk is Polk. Polk is the next smallest Elementary School with a student enrollment of 390 students. Half of their enrollment is 195 students. SFA currently is eligible to meet the exclusion criteria by 10 students. Next year, there are 26 SFA 6th grade students, and if they were zoned to attend Freeport Intermediate School, there would be more cushion to ensure SFA's enrollment stayed below half of Polk Elementary School. Polk's projected enrollment next school year is 393. SFA's projected enrollment for next school year without 6th graders is 159, which would ensure we maintain the exception to comparability. Moving SFA 6th graders also aligns with the Brazosport High School feeder pattern, now with Freeport Intermediate School serving 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. 6th grade students at Freeport Intermediate also have elective choices of band and choir that they do not have at SFA. The 2019 bond program included funds for a new SFA campus as part of the 2019 bond referendum. After several unforeseen circumstances, the first being the project went out for bid in March of 2020, the same month that the global pandemic hit. When we rebid the following year, there had been changes to the land's floodplain designation. There was not a viable solution given the inflation and the new floodplain requirements to build a new replacement facility, so the project was placed on hold. A portion of the bond funds has been spent on improvements for SFA. New fencing, new furniture, new playground, resurfaced the track, replaced the flooring and the awning. SFA bond funds have not been spent or used for any other project and will continue to remain designated for SFA needs. The district has an active Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, which was formed to ensure transparency and accountability that the district would manage the bond funds for their intended purposes as approved by the voters. Any reallocation of bond funds would be considered through the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee and approved by the BISD Board of Trustees. Rezoning 6th grade students that are currently zoned to attend Stephen F. Austin to Freeport Intermediate School will ensure SFA maintains an enrollment that meets the exception requirement for TEA comparability purposes, ensuring that the district retains the $2.3 million in title funds. This aligns with the feeder pattern again that Freeport Intermediate is now serving with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. It is the recommendation of the administration beginning in the 25-26 school year for 6th grade students currently to attend Stephen F. Austin Elementary School to be rezoned to attend Freeport Intermediate School. Now, I would like to add that the district is relieved to have a viable solution that aligns with TEA's requirements and minimize disruption. We remain committed to providing our students with the best possible education and appreciate our staff and our community for being patient and understanding as we navigate the ongoing financial challenges of our schools.
So we have a recommendation from the administration, but before we take a vote, this is the opportunity for public comment. So we have several folks who have signed up from Jones Creek who want to talk about, I'm sure, not just the 6th grade, but just the SFA in general. And so our first one who has signed up is Mr. William Tidwell.
So I guess before yesterday, I had plenty to say, but things changed a little bit yesterday when Mason came down to our city event and made me aware that what's going to happen with Stephen F. Austin, where it's going to stay open. So with that, I want to do this, and I want to thank the board for doing this. We all knew there was another way around this if we just kept on looking. And Cody Pursuit is a real hero to us at this point. He's the one that did this. It's a positive thing for Jones Creek, for the school, for the staff, and for BISD. So, thank y'all.
Ms. Hardesty?
Well, I also had a completely different speech until I spoke with you yesterday. So I want to really stand here tonight and let you know how grateful I am to Representative Cody Basute, Mr. Massey, and the entire Board of Trustees who've stepped up with a plan to save Stephen F. Austin Elementary School. Your dedication and leadership in finding a solution to keep our school open mean the world to our students, our team at the school, and to the entire community of Jones Creek. I also want to thank my fellow SAVE SFA committee members, William Tidwell, Mike Chilcote, Veronica and Rocky Thomas, and Doug Kirk for their unwavering perseverance. For our students, the school is more than just a building. It's a place of exploration and growth and opportunity. It's where their curiosity is nurtured, where they discover new passions, and where they develop the skills that will shape their futures. For our teachers and staff, this is more than just a job, it's a calling. It's a commitment to guiding and inspiring the next generation. And for our community, Stephen F. Austin is a cornerstone, a place that represents the promise of a brighter future for our children and for Jones Creek as a whole. While tonight we celebrate, we must also acknowledge that the work is not done. The challenges that led us here remain, and now is the time for us to continue seeking innovative solutions to ensure that Stephen F. Austin is not just saved for today, but is secured for generations to come. We must remain engaged, think creatively, and work together to build a substantial future for our beloved school. This moment proves what we have all known, that when a community stands together, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. The outpouring of support from parents, teachers, and students and neighbors has made a difference, and we must continue to rally behind all efforts to keep our school open and thriving. On behalf of everyone that calls SFA home, thank you. Thank you for believing in our students, our teachers, and our future. And I, for one, look forward to working alongside of each and every one of you to ensure the future of Stephen F. Austin Elementary School. Here as a representative of the Jones Creek City Council with a resolution against closing our school that I would like to give to somebody, please. Thank you.
Next one that we have signed up is Rhonda Clavel Rivera. I pronounced that correctly.
Good afternoon. By this time, I'm sorry. I hope this letter finds you well. I'm writing on behalf of myself and many concerned community members regarding the plan before yesterday, the closure of the STEM Academy. With Mr. Tidwell, I was able to post an online petition where parents were actually able to go in and write their own insight of why they do not want Stephen F. Austin not to be closed. And these are some of their comments. I used to work at SFA, and it is unlike any other school I work at in the district. The staff cares. They know almost every student's name. It's a school that all other elementary schools should be modeled after. Some of the parents are third generation attending at that school. It has always been an excellent school. We need this school. I have 3 children who will be attending this upcoming years. Some of the parents, they bought land in Jones Creek, just to have their children attend that school. I've known several students where we were members of Jones Creek Baptist Church, and I've worked with the children in Jones Creek, and they are graduating this year. This school is Jones Creek, and the teachers and staff are the reason these kids are where they are today because of the teachers, the environment, and the size of this school that have so many of these students go so far in life. You're making a big mistake closing the school, and you're hurting that community in so many ways. My husband and I have been living in Jones Creek for 39 years, and both of our children attended SFA, as well as my husband. SFA has always been a small school, giving the parents a chance to get to know the students and teachers. A lot of students that have attended SFA have gone on to graduate college and now have successful careers due to the awesome teachers there. So please, keep SFA open. And I'm not from here. I just met people from Jones Creek because this became known, and it touched me, you know. Going yesterday to the pie eating contest, I did not know they have boudin pies, and they didn't have that. They have pies that are, you know, regular foods. The sense of community there is astounding, something that should be modeled for, and they're really good people, you know, and it's worth keeping open, expanding their program, and making it grow, not just as a school, but as a community. Thank you.
Debbie Collins?
Okay, like many of the others, I had to totally change my speech, so I'm not prepared, but I'll just speak from my heart. First of all, I brought y'all here. This is the first school that my great-great-grandmother started in Jones Creek. As far as we know, it's the first school in Texas. My grandfather's in here and my grandmother, but they didn't know each other like that then. And I want y'all all to have a copy if you want one. If you don't, just use it as scrap paper.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Superintendent Massey and the board members. I did have that written, but not the rest of it. Okay. Marshall William Tidwell is our marshal, as y'all well know, and he keeps our community safe, especially the school children. He brings our community together, and you can see we're here. And there would be more here, except today's a holiday. So, I don't think you could see this all. Anyway, we're real close-knit, and we stick together, and I grew up knowing that even as bad as it is, there's always hope. And y'all have proven to me that is true. There's always hope in every situation. I could not be prouder of this school board, and my mother worked here 42 years. I've been through 5 superintendents, and Mr. Massey's my favorite. I wanted to give y'all a personal invitation to come visit our cemetery where my great-great-granny, the one that started the first school, is buried, but be sure and come in the daytime, because they come out at night. And it's kind of cool to see where they buried Stephen F. Austin that first time. They did move him to Austin in 1910. And so I want y'all all to come see. But anyway, my point was, and I don't mean this in a football way, I mean it in a family way. No, that's not right. In a family kind of way. My family is so, I have cousins all over the United States. I called each and every one of them, told them about the school closing. And all I can tell y'all is the eyes of Texas were upon you. Because we had all these family members that were not going to accept Stephen F. Austin to be close. And I don't know if they all know it or y'all know it, but my family gave the land for the school to be built. And there is reason that we feel it so much for Emily Austin Brian Perry, because that's what she wanted. She was all about education. 5 of her 11 children had college degrees. She sent them up north, even though it was in 1840. She sent them for education. She started the first church and school. And so we take it, we take it real serious. Those were her wishes, that Stephen F. Austin always be there. It was in honor of her when the school opened. And so, anyway, we want y'all to come visit. And I declare today, because I have the authority, that y'all are real heroes on this day. Y'all are our heroes, and we will not forget it come election time. Thank you, and good night.
Ms. Rita Pitts.
Okay, unlike the people before me, I come not to praise Caesar. I'm going to give you some hard truths about how I feel personally. I'm speaking for myself on the fiasco that has been ongoing at Stephen F. Austin Elementary and the school district in general. I stand before you today to give my opinion. I attended school at Velasco Elementary, Freeport Intermediate, and Brazosport High School. I am extremely proud of being an exporter. I absolutely love Velasco Elementary. And for those that I've seen that have commented that we should not be complaining because Oyster Creek, Surfside, and Quintana don't have a school, no, they don't. They never did. We went to Velasco. That was our school. And that's where my passion becoming an educator was sparked. And I was dismayed to hear of its closure. We've heard of Stephen F. Austin being closed for a while. However, when the bond issue arose for Stephen F. Austin, it passed. And with that, I foolishly assumed everything was put to rest. So imagine my surprise when the rebuilding was not going to come to fruition. I personally feel from what has transpired that the bond was an attempt to pacify us, and that there was never any intention in reality on your part to leave our school open. Our community has offered reasonable solutions, and they were met with multiple excuses on why they were not feasible. We were given your word that we would have 2 years to research ways in order to keep the doors open. Quite frankly, your release to the press that we would now have non-certified apprentice teachers, student teachers back in my day, which are everywhere, no refurbishment, possible closure, and approved transfers from our school were blatant strategies resulting in exactly what you knew would happen. People would become scared and they would move their students to other campuses. You used the tactic of semantics to gain the results you needed to assure the outcome you wanted. In addition, we now have other educators in schools, before we learned of this yesterday, accusing us of making them possibly lose Title I funding. That is not the case. Your tactics have been appalling. So it took a politician, our state representative Cody Basute, to find a temporary solution. It was not you. He was able to do something in a short amount of time none of you could, or should I say, would do. I realize school districts are protected by sovereign immunity unless it can be shown that there has been discrimination or other serious issues. Well, in my opinion, that's been blatantly obvious since I went to high school here. The Freeport end of this district exists whether you want to admit it or not, and our students are just as deserving of having quality schools and courses available as the Clute Lake Jackson is. You have only to look at CIS and LJIS school architecture versus FIS architecture. You won't even give us matching brick. It's orange. Our school colors are red. You have deleted our history by taking the names of our schools when you closed them and lumped them into a generic name. You shortchange our high school students on options and refuse to change the zoning to boost enrollment because, from what I have always understood, Clute and Lake Jackson would rather not allow their students to be bused to Freeport. I cannot change the perception this district has allowed to continue to be perpetuated
lack of funding and attention to our end. SFA deserves to stay open. A year is great, but it deserves to stay open. It is the heart of our community, and we voted for that bond in good faith. Not only that, we have 3 young men honored at that school that served their country, 2 of which paid the ultimate price, and one whose life and those of his family that has been changed forever. It is a slap in their face, as well as our community, that you may end up using our bond money because you are not fiscally responsible for the monstrosity projects you undertook elsewhere. Our school bond money is not your safety net. As a citizen, business, and personal property taxpayer, 30-plus year public educator, several-time Teacher of the Year for my old district, I am now going to give you my word. I will not vote yes on another bond for this district unless I see some concrete change. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Secondly, I give you my word that every single one of you that have been sitting on this school board that took no action to help us, that were complicit in this subterfuge, when it comes times for elections, I will vote for your opponents. Not because they're better people, not because I know they'll keep their word, but because I know you did not. Thank you.
Mr. Jason Hayes.
Thank you for the time. Again, like everybody else, I kind of had a different speech before today, but I don't believe that this isn't over. I believe this is more of a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. You know, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the whole new school a few years ago. Now we can't afford the school that we have. The numbers that you put up a minute ago, Mr. Massey, you showed a 4% expected increase between the 18-19 year to the 2024-25 year. 4% district increase, but a 13% Stephen F. Austin increase. So I'm not sure how that works because Jones Creek isn't growing that fast. You know, I run a business, and it's a construction business, and sometimes we have to do layoffs. So I understand hard decisions. But in those hard decisions, perception is the key. Perception of my people. And if we're in the middle of a layoff and I decide that I'm going to buy some new equipment, maybe a new truck for myself, it's my company, my money, maybe give some other people raises. The people that are getting laid off, they look at that and say, wow, he can afford new equipment, new truck, give some people raises, but he can't afford to help me feed my family. So that's kind of the same way that a lot of the community feels right now. Different schools are getting big renovations, big projects, but you can't afford to keep us open. Again, perception is the key. Again, I know tough decisions are hard, but when they come up, we have to ask ourselves, you have to ask yourself, am I fighting for this school? And am I fighting for this community? And then when this conversation, this issue comes back up, you have to ask yourself, how hard have I fought? Have I lost sleep over it, like a lot of the students, parents, and teachers have? How high up the chain have I gone to find a solution? And when that happens, if you can look in the mirror and know 100%, without a doubt, that you fought as hard as you could, you climbed that chain of command tirelessly, and you truly anguished over the decision, then make the right decision. I get it. But if there's an ounce of you that maybe says, maybe we didn't put enough blood and sweat into this, maybe we could have gotten better counsel, or maybe we haven't truly realized the impact this decision will make. If that happens, then I urge you to stand up and do the right thing. This help from Cody Pursuit is a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. What happens now if attendance goes up? Who thought we'd have that problem? But it was said before, with the things that are happening, the attendance is going down. All these changes create scarcity. People are scared. Perception, again, is the key. What the community sees, what we hear, what we feel, that's all we know. So, that's it. Thank you.
Dan Croft.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dan Croft. I live at 403 Bluebonnet in Jones Creek. When my kids were little, we lived at 6950 Stephen F. Austin, and they attended Stephen F. Austin School. One is now the director of physical therapy at Methodist Southwest, where he has over 150 employees. My other son works in California for a company that does work for the Disney firm. So the boys have done well with a good foundation that they got at Stephen F. Austin Elementary. And it's obvious that I'm pleased that Representative Vasut brought to light the fact that an alternative was and has always been available to the district. So it's unfortunate that the trustees and administration weren't made aware of the TEA's alternative prior to the discourse generated in the community of Jones Creek. And I know you've heard the discourse. While it was devastating, it is very much refreshing to learn of the redirected initiative to keep Stephen F. Austin open. While there has been comment about the number of students and people moving into the area, the government's office or the governor's office has indicated in a statement that I heard over the weekend that population in Texas is due to increase 40% by 2050. Now, yes, it may not have hit us yet, but it will. It's coming, from the north. While everybody has been upset with the goings-on, there is something of a silver lining in this conflict that's brought this close community even closer. So the efforts that have taken place, rest assured that this community will continue to fight for its school and its identity in the community. I thank you for your time. Have a nice evening.
Chilcote.
Well, my name's Mike Chilcote. I am also a resident of Jones Creek for about almost 40 years. Both of my children went to Stephen F. Austin and have done quite well for themselves. First off, I'd like to congratulate the two teachers who were recognized here this evening. I think that's a great thing. I think recognition of excellence is a positive thing for sometimes a thankless job. Let's talk about bond money. We've got bond money sitting in the bank supposedly, collecting interest and so forth. We now have a school that we're going to be able to keep open when it's time to spend some of that bond money on the school. There's some improvements that need to be made. Some were made. I've noticed some of them, but there's a lot more that need to be made. So we can spend that bond money on that if we're not going to get a new school, a new campus, which doesn't seem viable, and probably not going to get a gym either, which was promised in the 2014 bond, a new gym for the place. So there's improvements that can be made. There can be a cover put over the concrete pad out back to give the students a place to play and to exercise and everything out of the weather, out of the sun, if we're not going to get a gym. Get them out of the cafeteria. Nowhere else in the district are the kids doing their physical therapy in the cafeteria. They all have a gym to go play in. The furnishings, things, paint, windows, doors, ceiling tiles, things like that. There's some improvements that can be made to this school that might enhance the reputation of it. So, my opinion is that we've got the money in the bank, let's spend it. If the school's going to be here, we're going to open it, quit letting it sit in the bank and have interest that somehow the interest gets used for other things. The bond money can't be touched, but the interest can be used for other things. So let's take the money we got, spend it where it needs to be spent on our children in Jones Creek. Thank you.
Well, that's a lot of information. I have some remarks because I grew up in Jones Creek. I went to that school. I have lived there, have lived there.
Can't hear you, Mr. Howard.
I said there's a lot of information, and I have some remarks. I'm going to wait. I think there's a few other remarks from the board, and if not, then I have some remarks. But I'm from Jones Creek. I grew up there, lived there my entire life. My mom worked there for 32 years. My wife worked there for 21. I know as much as y'all feel that y'all are true blue Jones Creek people and supporters of SFA. I would almost argue that probably the only one I really feel who's more of a fighter for SFA is Mr. Tidwell than myself, because I still live there and I still am proud to be from Jones Creek. But before I share my words about tonight's discussion, I was going to see if any of the other board members have a comment, and we still have to take a vote. We'll have a motion before us, but we're not taking a vote.
Yeah, I would like to say a few things. From the get-go, we've had multiple discussions with Mr. Tidwell and a number of the, we've been called aldermen there from not councilmen, but and other community leaders throughout this process. And, one of the things that kept coming up is that this was a funding issue related to it, and that was the only thing that ever came up. But we always told them from the get-go that this was not a vendetta like was alleged here, that we were here to try to close the school. That was never the case. It was always because of these funding formulas. We are regulated, unfortunately, by the federal government, by the state government, and we also have local guidelines that we have to follow too as well, that we impose on ourselves. And so each one of those come with different strings and different attachments that we have to abide by, and we do abide by them always. And so we've told that to the city leaders over and over and over again throughout this process. Unfortunately, because of funding issues and the money that is tied to those, these things have become an issue. Because of this waiver now that's been identified, which really wouldn't have applied had the additional 40 students or 42, whatever it was, that left in between May of last year and August of this year, we would be in the same situation. Y'all's enrollment got within about 5 of that number a couple of different times during this fall semester as well, because enrollments, like he said, is an average daily enrollment. And so when a kid's sick or we get flu and there's 2, 3, 5, 10 kids sick, those numbers fluctuate as well, and we have to deal with that as a district and account for that too as we're going through there. So, unfortunately, these problems are still here in front of us, and it's still something we're going to have to deal with as a board, as a community, on an ongoing basis, because math is math, and we're going to math again every year. And we don't do that just for Jones Creek, we do that for every school in our school district, every feeder pattern in the school district too as well. One of the things that came out during those meetings, and I've been on this board now for 11 years, and this has been an issue for all 11 years, and a promise for the last 11 years, is that Jones Creek is about to explode. There's about to be a bunch of growth. There's going to be a bunch of housing. Well, and y'all told us multiple times in multiple meetings over the last 5 years that we've had, Mr. Tidwell and Mr. Kirk and some of these, Thomas and all those, we've been in a lot of meetings about it, that we need growth. We need growth not only in Jones Creek, we need growth in all of the ISD. I tell people all the time, we've missed a pretty big opportunity here in Southern Brazoria County for the last 7 years. I served on city council in 2010 through 2014, and in the city of Lake Jackson, we were expecting countless growth. We were approving project after project that was $5, $6, $7 billion with multiple plants here, and all cities, just about all cities in Southern Brazoria County have declined in population over this period. So this is not a Jones Creek issue only issue. This is a Southern Brazoria County issue, and one that we're going to have to continue to deal with because of population. People are moving north or they're not moving here. And so we need housing, we need people to be here in order to get all of our enrollment up so that these financial issues don't continue to arise. And so it's a constant issue. We, unfortunately, as a school district, we don't build houses, and we don't do the things that we need to do from a city perspective. That's not our role, not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to teach the students of BISD, and we do that, I think, pretty well. And so, we need city leaders in all of these jurisdictions to be just as active in this growth, to create opportunities to solve these problems so that we're not relying on waivers that are found that are in 450-page documents that are governed by us from the state level. So this is a continued issue. It's one that's not going away. We're going to be compared every year, every semester, and growth. And unfortunately, a little bit of growth is not great in this situation either. We need big growth for Jones Creek because a little bit of growth gets us back out of that comparison. And now that we have sixth grade moved out of there, that number is even larger. So that disparity is even larger. We're probably going to be in $11,000 or $12,000 per student range, as opposed to $6,000, $7,000 per student in all these other schools that we have. So it is a going concern for us as a school board, something that we have to deal with, and that we do deal with yearly from a board perspective. So I just want to be clear that this has always been about being in compliance with federal, state, and local regulations that we as a school board have to abide by, and that we do abide by. And so there is a lot that goes into it every single year from a budgeting standpoint, from a review and data. As you can see tonight, there's a lot of different formulas, a lot of different data that we select and have to adhere to. So it's a constant back and forth from that perspective. So I just wanted to please let that know.
I believe I was on the list to speak.
So he just brought that to my attention. You're on here, your name's written twice, and it's written, a line drawn through, but.
It's excellent, but I just have one question.
Come on up. I was gonna ask if you wanted to talk, because I see your name, and it was marked through.
I'm a shy person.
Yeah.
When you're a slave massive board, I just like it on record, and I asked 2 meetings ago if I could get an itemized list of the renovation that was done at Stephen F. Austin, and I was told to get with the other lady that was here. Yeah. And we talked about something else, and so I don't know. I know there's a protocol for it, but I guess I need to write something up and bring it up here. Do I need to get it notarized, or do I need to get Elon Musk over here with me to try to get this thing? That's all I want. And I want to thank Mr. Basu, Mr. Tidwell, and these Jones Creek people. Push it like they have. So y'all reach down deep. I know there's some things that can be done, and we got a little while, and there is growth coming. I heard we're going to get another Dollar General. So that's going to bring a lot of things in. Anyways, I would like it on record. I would like an itemized list of the renovation that was done. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other board members want to have? Yes, sir.
Mr. Dunn, go ahead. You're younger than me.
Yeah, I probably wasn't as involved in a lot of the meetings. As you guys know, we can only send a certain number of board members before we hit a quorum. And but some of the things that has resonated the last couple of months, hearing, folks get up and passionately speak about the community and everything. I think one of the first things I heard was when I heard that VISD wanted to shut down SFA, I had to speak. And I'll just, from my own heart, and I can speak for everybody on the board that's been involved with this, nobody has ever wanted to shut down SFA. And what I see here is I see a tremendous group of strong leaders. And what I think, and some of what I'm going to say is echoing what Scott said, but we need your leadership to identify why the population is moving from Jones Creek, why aren't there places for folks to come, and what's the draw, the appeal, that we need to identify those things and really approach it from that level. We're a reflection of the community, and some folks have asked us, what are you doing to increase enrollment? We're very limited. Yes, we're supposed to be an attractive part of a community to hopefully, in some cases, that's why families move to different places. But I sincerely hope that this starts, if it hadn't already, you guys getting together and identifying those things that are in your control that you can do to help us out, because I'm glad we're keeping this open, SFA, for this next year, and we're able to do these things. But it would sure be nice to not have these conversations. I'd like to see our rooms full at capacity, as I know the rest of y'all would too. But
Well, we're very passionate about the school in the city of Jones Creek. We are here to help you help us.
Come up to the mic, come up to the mic.
Okay.
So, I like you, Mike.
Yeah.
But you've already spoken, but I do want you to go ahead,
I
but
understand.
I don't want to be here till midnight either.
I know, me too.
I don't want to open up that.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
I just want to say that we as a community are passionate about helping you help us come up with solutions. We want to help you help us. We aren't here to fight you. We're here to work with you and work with our citizens to try to come up with solutions. We want to keep it open just as much as y'all say you want to keep it open. So that's just my other comment I want to make.
All right. Very good.
I want to second Mike said, we've had so many meetings with y'all trying to work this out, so don't make it sound like we're not trying to work with you. We have been trying to work with you. Mr. Massey, you and I have a good relationship. We have tried to work with you and make things better for Stephen F. Austin. We have not tried to fight. We've tried to give you ideas and help you keep our school open.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all we've ever wanted.
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I hope I didn't come across like we're battling each other.
No, you did. No.
I think some of the things that have been said was certainly not the way that I feel, or that the board, that as far as people make the accusations that we want to shut the school down, and that's never been the case. We're limited on how we can attract. That's not in our control, bringing people into the community, having them move, wanting to, as I said, yes, we're part of the attraction. We need to be an attractive educational facility that with great schools, great teachers, which we have in place. So that's all. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are together on this and want to look to the future and see, identify those things that are in your control that you can do to help us out.
Mr. Reinhardt.
My wife told me that I couldn't use my coach's voice, so I'm going to do my best. I was in a classroom in BISD for 34 years. My first 2 years were at Freeport Intermediate School. I was a Redskin. I graduated from Brazosport High School. I'm an exporter as well, ma'am. Like a whole lot of people in here are. I can tell you the gospel, and as limited as Rocky, I can trust him very much. Rocky knows I'm going to tell you the truth. Representative Pursuit did a great job helping us, but if you go back and look at all the information, the first email Representative Pursuit sent to TEA, he came back and said there is no waiver. They sent that back to him. Now, for some reason, a state representative has a little bit more clout than a school board. And we're very blessed that he shared that with us, because this needs not to be a contentious situation that's going to fester. We're going to do everything on our end that we can do. You guys are going to try to do your best on your end and do everything that you can do. But we're not going to rebuild Jones Creek by ourselves, and you guys aren't going to rebuild Jones Creek by yourselves. So, and I'll go back to some of my fondest moments when I was at Freeport Intermediate were coming home from football and basketball games and calling parents come get their kids. And you know, 7th and 8th graders were great conversationalists for 2 or 3 hours while you waited for parents. I got to know a lot about Jones Creek, where all these things were, those things were, and I was single at the time. It could have gotten me in trouble, but I didn't go. So, my thought for you exactly is to believe in yourselves and what you can do. Believe in us, and we're going to do our dead level best to help get things done. But, you know that old saying, it takes a whole village. We all got to build a village. And we've all got our roles in that rebuild, or add on, however you want to put it. We need to take our roles and go full steam ahead to do the best we can with what we got.
Well, I'm going to discuss this from a different standpoint, I think. I'm looking at our student learners and what is the best for that group. That's what we're here for. The attendance by Stephen F. Austin 6th graders at FIS to me is a no-brainer. In fact, I wish I was smart enough last year to say when we're moving Lanier to FIS, we should send the Stephen F. Austin kids there too. It gives them a start. Now that we have 6 through 8, it gives them a start to begin the middle school experience. I guess that's the experience. But anyway, they have more options. They have band, they have choir, they have facilities, and I asked Mr. Massey about athletics. My granddaughter's in Lago Vista, but she's in pre-athletics in 5th and 6th grade, or 5th grade, whatever it is. And they go in and I think they play with the weights. I don't think they lift them, but they do everything. And yes, he said, yeah, the Brazosport coaches come over to FIS with the FIS coaches. So, and I'm a big supporter of the athletics. The fact is that the 5th grader or the 6th graders at Stephen F. Austin will now go to FIS as 7th graders, and they don't know the kids that are 80, 90 kids that have been together, working out, playing, becoming a team. So, to me, the 6th grade situation is a no-brainer. And again, I wish I had been smart enough to push it last year to do that. We've probably been in the same boat in this discussion, but that's fine. Discussion is fine. as far as the remaining, you know, is this waiver the best for the students? We take a look at that and say, are we gonna be here next year? And it's kinda ironic, I think, I don't know if that's the right word, I guess it is, but, I'm an engineer, I'm not an English major, so, it's a little ironic to say, hey, we're gonna get, you know, 30, 40 more kids, you know, and we're in bad shape again. Comparability calculations bite us. So that's in the back of my mind. Again, to me, the purpose of the district, and my purpose has been for the last 12, 13 years, is what are we gonna do for the best education for all our students? My experience is I fight for the students. I don't fight for a particular school building or even the community. It's really what's for the students. And again, that's in the back of my mind. And the discussion was, you know, facilities. The facilities are better at the newer schools. What term is used, Danny? Not new schools, right? Not new schools. So that opportunity, should we afford that to all our students? And my answer is yes. Now, I always prickle and I get a little upset when people say we ought to run the school district as a business. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. However, once you look at the comparability, that's the right word, comparability, calculations, we have to look at it as a business. I mean, we have 9 teachers currently at Stephen F. Austin, 8 apprentices. The 8 apprentices, from expense count standpoint, don't count in that comparability. So we're spending quite a bit per student. Again, that's from the business standpoint. I don't like that, but hey, that's part of our responsibility to make sure we're fiscally responsible. Input from parents, I know it was presented, there was a petition. I'd like to see those comments if possible. You know, we got some input, I guess, to the newspaper. I don't do Facebook much. You know, I let these guys help me keep me up on the Facebook input about, you know, the transportation concerns, the safety, et cetera, like that. Again, I think that was probably not the best statement to make, but, you know, we've been trying to discuss enrollment for at least 10 years that I've been here. And we've experienced declining enrollment like everybody has said, but, you know, one of the things that we did is we have looked at various options and we have not disregarded. You know, I think a 4-day work week was brought up, and that's not the best for kids. I won't even consider that. STEM Academy worked for a little bit. We're doing the apprentice setup at this point. I was not a major fan of that, but hey, it gave us an opportunity, which we tried. Guess I was a little disappointed to see the statements made, and maybe even here tonight, about you know, replacing this board of trustees, that's your option, that's fine. And again, voting no for the bonds, any bond. If you review the 2025 bond, it has something for every student, no matter where they're located. So a statement to vote against the bond doesn't seem like in the best interest of students. I go back a long way, back in the, I guess, mid-80s, maybe 90s, whatever it was. I was heavily involved in the organization of the Brazosport Water Authority. We did a lot of work, we did a lot of discussion. We were, at that time I thought we were future looking, I still think we were. Quite honestly, I was very disappointed when the village of Jones Creek turned down the opportunity to be part of the Brazosport Water Authority. Would that made a difference? I don't know. But, you know, I'm old, and it still sticks in my mind, because, you know, some of the elected officials in Jones Creek were, you know, good friends. We did a lot of, you know, we worked a lot together, and I was disappointed, to say the least. But again, that's hindsight, but, again,
my effort for all our student learners is forefront. And I know Marshall Tidwell had talked one time about seeing me at CMF Austin all the time. Yeah, I love to go see where the kids are. Get to high five them and get them excited, and then turn them back to the teachers. So that's my objective when I visit the schools. Representative Yusuf, yes, we thank him. It was interesting to dig into it, to see the two. You saw the two notes that came. One says there's no way, and now there is a way. Of course, that was apparently in the DEA handbook. I mean, the Title I handbook. And just coming back from doing the advocacy in D.C. and listening to some of the comments, that's a boondoggle when you get to the federal government. So, but we do appreciate Representative Basout. I'm going to be a little political, so just hang on. Next time you talk to Representative Basout, thank him very much. Also, encourage him to support public schools. He is not. He is. Tell him to vote against the vouchers, because that's going to hurt all the public schools and the ISD and our student learners. So that's my input. I've struggled with this. In fact, I would like to see maybe two different motions on this recommendation, but again, that's up to whoever makes the motion. So thanks for the time. Thanks for listening. I do appreciate everybody's input. We don't get much input. I get a lot of input after decisions are made, but that's kind of the way of the world. I've been doing public service elected for a lot of years, so I've gotten a lot of input after the fact. So I appreciate the fact that people coming forward and letting us hear from them. Thanks.
I will say I've been on the board 14 years, and the other schools that we've closed, we hardly heard a peep. Of course, I'm from Jones Creek, so I'm proud of Jones Creek, and I'm glad that you're as passionate about it. I wish everybody else was as passionate about their kids and about their schools as Jones Creek. Mr. Hayes, I don't know you. I know your aunt and uncle very well. I know your cousins very well. And your comment about perception and how it looks is very true. And to Ms. Pitts, when I got on the board, before I got on the board, even years before I got on the board, I got on some committees about the bond, about what was happening, and I very much grew up with a perception of almost everything you said, about feeling like we were a stepchild, feeling like we were on the mark. Much of the time that I grew up, any kind of thing that happened, especially as it dealt with Stephen F. Austin, Jones Creek. My mom was from Clute, so she kind of had an axe to grind about stuff, because she always felt like Clute was always being slighted as well. And I don't know about her when she grew up. I don't know about before I got on the board, but when I got on the board for the exact reason you just got up and spoke. I got on the board because I wanted to protect Stephen F. Austin and I think the 350 kids that were there 14 years ago. And as soon as I got on the board, I realized I did not represent just 350 students, but I represent almost 13,000 students. And so I have made it my goal to represent every kid, no matter where they came from. And I had to change my perspective. And as much as I love SFA and I love Jones Creek, my goal is for all of our children. And I can tell you in the 14 years I've been here, all the board members that are currently here, all they care about are the kids. No one has a special project. No one has a special campus that they are trying to protect. They are trying to save money. You don't know me, so you don't have any reason to believe me other than the fact that I'm telling you that no one on this board has that mentality. Now, I've learned to grow a thick skin being on the school board, and especially being in the seat, but I always look at it this way. For the people who really know me, then they know whether my words are true or not. And so, since I don't really know you, I don't really expect you, but I'm just telling you. That was my perception when I got on the board, and that is not the reality of what is happening today. And so, with that said, we did get into this over numbers and money, and whether we like to admit it or not, money drives the world, and it drives business, and it drives education, and dollars are dollars, and with the cost of per student going up, probably is going to be, I don't know, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 per student. I can tell you that is not a long-term formula that I will agree to. So I'm excited for today, and I do not want to be a dark cloud over what I feel like is a very good day. I did not realize that this even existed until yesterday. The board has not collectively had a conversation. I've talked to a couple of my other board members, but we have not altogether even had a conversation about what's going on because we just found out. Part of my frustration is with TEA. How can one day they can say there's absolutely no way, and then they can come back a week later and say, oh, by the way, yeah, there is. Regardless, we are where we are. My desire, my hope is that all the things that we've been talking about for quite some time, the hope and the growth, the buildings, the homes, the water that's hopefully going to come to the north side of Jones Creek up to the 288 highway, if they will ever finish the stinking road to make driving easier, that would be wonderful as well. And but we will, continue to look at it because, like Mr. Schwartner said, we are governed by federal and state, and local, and so we do have to be aware of the money and how it's spent. And I can just tell you, if we're still spending, this kind of dollar, even a couple of years from now, that's just not an acceptable amount, even with the waiver for the federal funds. I mean, if it was flipped around and all the other schools were getting $10,000 or $11,000 per student, and CUNF Austin was getting, $7,500 per student, y'all all be sitting on those chairs, upset, because as a resident of Jones Creek, I would be upset. And so it is a great day, and I'm glad that we have at least another year to look at it, but we need to see some progress. We need to see some planning. We need to see some infrastructure. We need to see something for us to continue to fight. And I can tell you, all the steps, all the things we've already done, were all done with the focus of trying to keep SFA open. And yes, they are some Band-Aids, and Band-Aids are great for a while, but they're not great forever. So what we need from Jones Creek is we need to see Jones Creek, do what y'all have hoped, what I have hoped. I've been waiting for it all my life. I mean, all my years, even back before Marshall Tidwell got there. I was having a very similar conversation with Bubba, with Mr. Ray, his predecessor, and so we need for Jones Creek to do, and I'm talking to me. We need me as a Jones Creek resident. We need Jones Creek to do what they hope and have been talking about for all this time. So that's all I have to say, ma'am. And I'm sorry, but I can't allow you to continue to speak. So we're.
And I'll just post it on Facebook.
Okay. Thank you. That's great. All right. So to bring us back to the original recommendation, it is the recommendation of the administration for 6th grade students currently zoned to attend CUNF Austin Elementary School to be rezoned to attend Freeport Intermediate School, and pre-K through 5th grade students continue to attend CUNF Austin Elementary School, and this also aligns with the Peter Pattern Freeport Intermediate School, which now serves 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, which, by the way, is how it was when I went to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So, do I hear a motion on this recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
I was hoping to break it up into two motions. The motion to do the 2nd grade students currently zoned, or at 6th grade, and then the remaining, but the remaining Stephen F. Austin grades, pre-K through 5. But you're gonna make the motion,
Okay.
Shouldn't jump in.
Isn't that what we're doing?
Well, what did
He
you
wants,
I want to do two motions.
Well, what's the second motion that you want?
he wants to do sixth grade and then do the second one.
All right,
Make a
so
motion.
I'm
Somebody
not
make
making the motion, but I would like to discuss, or at least present the fact is, let's look at.
Make a motion.
One motion
Make a
for
motion.
the sixth grade students. Okay,
That's
well,
fine.
but Chris, he was first, so.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the sixth grade students currently zoned to Stephen F. Austin, that they be rezoned to Fruitful Gardens for the
I'll second.
2025.
All right, so it's been moved by Chris, it's been seconded by
Right,
Mr.
so-
Schwartner. Is there any other discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed by nay? All right, that carries.
What's the next motion?
So then,
Well, I won't make the motion because, well, I will make the motion, that we, do not rezone the pre-K through fifth grade for Stephen F. Austin. And, well, excuse me, we would rezone the pre-K through fifth grade students to also within the Freeport feeder pattern. In other words, we would, I don't see the advantage for our student learners to go for a waiver for 1 year. So basically, I'm saying let's send all the Stephen F. Austin kids to Freeport.
No.
feeder.
No. You will have the federal government here.
So, that was my thing. Now, I will withdraw that motion to allow a motion for
Next year.
others' desire, and I can vote my conscience.
okay. So by Robert's Rules of Order, to move to have that happen without a second, then it's not actually making a motion.
Correct.
So without that,
Say it 3 times.
say it 3 times.
Yeah. But through Robert's rules.
Say Robert's Rules.
No,
Oh.
what he said. Is there a motion? You have to say it 3 times.
So if you don't have a motion, it's been moved but not seconded, so it is not officially a motion. So without that being a motion, then it just basically dies. So,
This is fine.
all right, so then our second recommendation is that the Stephen F. Austin kids, pre-K through fifth grade students continue to attend Stephen F. Austin Elementary School. Do I hear a motion on that?
A motion.
So it's moved by Ms. Cuellar. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Joe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay.
I vote no, because it's not in the best interest of the students.
Show me the numbers. Penny and cent.
So, it does pass. The pre-K through fifth grade will continue to go to Stephen F. Austin.
Thank you.
By 5-1. All right.
Hey, are y'all gonna let kids enroll if they wanna come out to Jones Creek now?
Because right now, it's
They always
locked.
could.
No, they can't. They cannot.
It's locked.
Right now, it's locked.
It's
There's
not
no
transferable.
option.
We can't
Go on
get
my
them from our
post,
school.
it's posted, that Stephen F. Austin is not listed. And transfers have been denied to Stephen F. Austin.
Okay, well, probably because the thought might have been that it was going to close, but
By what?
It'll open tomorrow.
it will open tomorrow. So
Okay.
it probably was locked because the anticipation was that we were going to close. So it would not make sense for
Without
somebody.
voting?
It would still not make sense for somebody to register with it up in the air.
But there's steps to close school by
Understand.
federal level. There's steps that have to be in place. And I've made requests on financials since last year concerning the bonds, the expenditures, and guess what? I got a $20,000 bond from Thompson and Furton to stop me.
Okay?
Did you know about this?
This is not a part of
what's going on. Transparency is not being done.
We're gonna take a 10-minute rest, because I've talked more than I normally have, a recess.
Mr. Massey, it's listed. Stephen F. Austin.
Stephen has fallen. Did you see where it's found?
There.
All right, we're reconvening from our temporary break. Next item that we have on our agenda is 7B, the joint election agreement and contract for election services in Broward County. Ms. Cancino, sorry to make you wait so long.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Mr. Massey, ladies and gentlemen of the public. In accordance with board policy in Chapter 791 of the Government Code, a school district can contract with another local government. Brazoria County is coordinating a county-wide joint election for political subdivisions in the county and have provided a joint election agreement and contract which is included in the board book. The joint election will be May 3rd, 2025, with Brazosport ISD participating for the 2025 bond election and the Board of Trustees election to District 4, District 5, and a special election for District 3. The district received applications from current board members Liz Cuellar for District 4 and Kenneth Schulte for District 3. The district also received applications from Chris Dunn and Janessa Castor for District 5. Administration has reviewed the county's proposal to conduct a joint election and believes it is in the best interest of the district for the following reasons. A joint election will represent an economic savings since the cost of each voting location will be shared by all the political subdivisions voting at that location. And a joint election will provide convenience and consistency for the voters by using existing voting locations that are familiar and by offering additional early voting locations. The joint election will be conducted professionally and in accordance with law by the Brazoria County Elections Department, with the exception of non-transferable duties that will be retained by each political subdivision. It is the recommendation of the administration, the Board of Trustees approve the joint election agreement and contract for election services, and that the President and the Secretary of Board be authorized to execute the final agreement.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Oh, I have a question.
One quick question, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Atkins?
No, go ahead.
Mr. Fortner?
Just clarification. Chris, is his district, are you 3 cities? Are you have Richwood, Clute, and Lake Jackson, or you just have Lake Jackson included, or Richwood?
Lake Jackson, Richwood.
Oh, no Clute?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Jerry's, Claudia.
Not all.
We've had this problem in the past, something maybe to ask is make sure that we have a polling location at Richwood also, if possible.
They don't put one.
They don't put one anymore?
Not for early voting.
Early?
Yeah, that was my point, is early voting, there's no early in Richwood or Clute. And if you look down here, that's what I was looking at, there's a tentative depending on city elections. And so, it's Richwood. But that's my concern. Second of all, first of all, the election day vote centers are listed, and they only show precincts, and precinct 19 is Clute, but there's also 48. Lake Jackson has several, I don't know what they are, but they only list, which one is it? 23. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah,
so,
but we've always had one polling location.
right, one point, but the thing is that, you know, if somebody looks at this and they say, I'm in 48, I don't know where to vote, I'm in 20-something. So I don't know if we need to clarify that or get that, you know, the precincts added. I assume that the Richwood tentative is based on potential city elections.
Mayor and council.
But the thing is that, you know, the Richwood people need the opportunity to have someplace to vote since Chris represents it, so.
There's not an early voting location in Richwood or Clute, but.
Right, that's not really the question. The question is the election day center, because we didn't have an election day center last time in Clute.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope. trying to get early on this one, just
Yeah,
to
might want to
clarify.
clarify with Johnny.
Yeah, just to clarify this one, because, I assume this is the thing that would be published if people look at it, and so, 48 is essentially plus 288B. And so, they say, I'm in 48, but I don't see a place to vote, but yet they would vote at the Clute, what's it called, event center. And also the rest of the precincts in Lake Jackson. And I assume they would have the same thing in Pearland and Alvin. But, so this is a little confusing to me to just, and it could be tentative, like it says it's tentative, but.
I probably should admit this, but I've been elected for 14 years, but I don't know what precinct I'm in, so I don't know if that's a huge deal for people, but other than knowing whether there is an election, it's probably the
Hopefully
most
there's still
important thing.
votes, but, but anyway, that's a question that, if you can check on it.
So the only clarification is that we did, ask for the early voting include, so that was added. So anything else that the district requests to be added will be an additional cost that is not shared amongst any of the other entities. It will only be, the responsibility of the ISD
Yeah,
to add.
and I don't really think there's a need for early voting, to be honest with you, at this point.
But just election day.
Just election day. Because there's, well, I don't know, they may want one, the city may want one if they have an election, I don't know. I haven't seen their.
Lake Jackson's got a city election.
We just want to make sure we have somewhere for residents who potentially would vote in Chris's election, that they have a place. Definitely on election day, and if early voting is what we want to do, then I think we should pay the money. I mean, he'd like to get elected and have as many people vote for him as possible.
It would just be good to figure out what that looks like from a Richwood standpoint, since that's the only real jurisdiction at this point, on election day.
Right. Okay, sorry, that's my question.
So then, the recommendation still stands.
Yeah, I don't have somebody to,
And I forget if we've already, okay. So we have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
I motion that we approve the joint election and contract for the election services.
All right. And seconded by Joe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right.
I'm gonna start wearing my name tag.
Thank you. You don't know who you are?
Yeah, if you wear it upside down. Yeah, upside down.
Next item that we have on our agenda is a public hearing. We will now ask Ms. Ludy Catino to conduct a public hearing to discuss the 2024 Texas Academics Performance Report. State law provides that a public meeting.
That's not Ludy, that's Ron Red.
Red sweater.
Rod's got on a red sweater, she got on a black one.
Well, I'm just saying what's on my paper. Mr. Ron Redden, in place of Ms. Ludy Catino, is going to conduct a public hearing to discuss the Texas Academic Performance Report for 2024.
You may wish she had given it to you before it's over. Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy AIB Legal and requirements under Texas Education Code Chapter 39.306, and in alignment with District Goals 1, 2, and 4, it's my pleasure to conduct a public hearing this evening on the 2024 Brazosport ISD Annual Performance Report. Texas Education Code Chapter 39.306 requires that each public school district's Board of Trustees to publish an annual report that includes the Texas Academic Performance Report, or TAPER, the PEIMS Financial Standards Report, the district's accreditation status report, a current campus performance objectives with progress report, the Special Education Determination Status Report, a school safety report, the Student Performance and Post-Secondary Institutions Report, and a report on the progress being made toward meeting the Board's House Bill 3 literacy, numeracy, and CCMR goals. This year, the annual report does not include A through F ratings or distinction designations, since the issuance of the A through F ratings under 2024 rule is pending and subject to change. The first section of the TAPER is the student performance. In the spring of 2024, BISD students outperformed the state average for STAR exams in all performance levels on 5 assessments. And in third grade reading and overall mathematics, they outscored the state at approaches and meets grade level. Students outperformed the state at the approaches grade level in 8th grade science, and social studies, and in overall social studies. The next three sections of the taper include the attendance, dropout, graduation, and college and career military readiness reports. Each of these reports are lagging indicator reports, with meaning that the data included in the taper came from the 2022-2023 school year. Since the inflated attendance rate in 2020 due to the COVID-19 closure, the district has worked hard to regain pre-COVID attendance rates. This year, they are continuing to implement a variety of creative initiatives ranging from the additional PBIS points to classroom pizza parties that encourage and reward students for good attendance. In addition, the principals of the campuses with the highest attendance rates for the month were given a trophy to share with their campus. In BISD, we believe students find purpose through connections with their schools. Students who are active in our myriad athletic and extracurricular activities and organizations consistently have the best attendance in school. This slide represents a 9-year longitudinal look at both dropout and graduation rates. Not surprisingly, we experienced a spike in the dropout rate in 2021 as some of our most at-risk students did not return to school in the fall of 2020 following the COVID-19 shutdown. However, as you can see on the line graph, the dropout rate has not only returned to pre-pandemic levels, but it is the lowest that it's been in 9 years. The 4-year graduation rate continues to improve. The 4-year graduation rate for 2023 was 91.1% compared to 90.3% for the state of Texas. Brazosport ISD continues to provide outstanding opportunities for students to earn CCMR credit. Both high schools offer a wide array of programs of study to students ranging from accounting and financial services to welding. The Brazosport High School CTE Center is now complete. It joins the Brazosport High School CTE Center in offering learning opportunities in world-class facilities to students in career and technical education. We are grateful to our community for making it possible to build these outstanding learning centers for our students and to our business partners who have donated more than $5.57 million to our CTE Major Giving campaign. When you add the ambulance donations from the City of Clute and BASF, along with the public education grants from TEA, the CTE program has received $6 million in donations. The final section of the TAPR, student and staff information, is based on data from the 2023-2024 school year. As you can see on this graphic, enrollment declined last year and has continued to decline this year. District student demographics are somewhat comparable to state student demographics. The table at the top of this slide provides you with the 2023-2024 percentages of our major population groups. Student demographics have remained relatively flat since 2020. The percentage of economically disadvantaged students in 2024 was 67.4%. That percentage, however, is 4.3% above the state average. In 2024, the number of emergent bilingual students declined slightly. However, the percentage of emergent bilingual students increased from 12.8% in 2023 to 13.8% in 2024, or 1 full percentage point. The percentage of students identified as receiving services through special education also continues to grow. The state rate for 2024 was 13.9%, while the BISD rate was 17%. BISD exceeded the 2023 rate for the identification of gifted and talented students by 0.7%, with a 2024 rate of 12%. BISD's rate for gifted and talented students is considerably higher than that of the state average of 8.5%. The number of teachers decreased in 2024. However, the student-to-teacher ratio declined last year by 0.1%. The BISD teacher-to-student ratio continues to be well below that of the state of Texas. BISD teachers continue to be among the highest paid in the state thanks to the generous support of our Board of Trustees. BISD teacher pay continues to trend above the state average. The information on this slide is based strictly on salaries. When the various stipends we offer are factored in, the average salary is much higher. The BISD teacher turnover rate increased slightly this year to 20.2%. The 2022-2023 PEAMS Actual Financial Report is the final financial report for the 2022-2023 school year, and it compares district revenues and expenditures to those of the state for the same year. This year, our district once again earned the state's highest financial rating of superior in the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, or FIRST. Next is the district accreditation report. The district receives one of 4 possible accreditation ratings. The top rating is accredited, which Brazosport ISD received again last year thanks to the hard work and dedication of our teachers, campus and district leaders, and support staff who ensure the BISD continues to set the standard for educational excellence. Each year, we are required to report on the progress campuses are making toward accomplishing their annual campus improvement plan performance objectives. Data used for this report came from the second quarter review of the campus improvement plans. 90% of campus improvement plan strategies have either been accomplished or considerable progress has been made at the mid-year point. The annual report must also include the district's special education determination status. The special education determination status is based on the results of the state's Results-Driven Accountability System, or RDA, report that is issued in the fall. In the RDA system, a program receives one of 4 possible determination levels based on the performance of students served by that program. Determination Level 1 means the program met requirements. Determination Level 2 means the program needs assistance. Determination Level 3 means the program needs intervention, and Determination Level 4 means the program needs substantial intervention. Included in the considerations for assigning a determination level for special education is the performance of the program on the state performance plan indicators. The district special education program received a perfect score on the state plan. The determination level for special education this year is needs assistance. This is the result of the disproportionality for special education students assigned to out-of-school suspension and expulsion for less than or equal to 10 days. That's an area where we're showing improvement we've been working on for a while, and that we will continue to address through awareness and training. Texas statute requires every district to publish a report on school safety. BISD publishes this report on our website under required postings. All the reported incidents in 2024 were for felony controlled substance. BISD has put in place intervention and prevention policies and initiatives to reduce the number of students arrested for felony controlled substance. The percentage of students who were arrested for felony controlled substance this past year fell by 92% from the previous year. The district also offers campus-level training to students and staff in violence awareness and prevention, bullying awareness and prevention, and character education. Each BISD campus has a crisis intervention team whose role it is to identify, assess, and implement appropriate measures with individuals whose behavior raises concerns for potential criminality. BISD offers campus-level counseling supports to students, and community resources are available for counselors to use when referring students who are in crisis for additional intervention. BISD provides a remarkable number of programs and activities to support all students, particularly those in crisis or with behavioral challenges. The list you see on this slide are just a few of the 76 different programs and activities that support student safety and well-being. The entire list can be viewed on the district's website as part of the 2024 School Safety Report. The report of 2021-2022 high school graduates' enrollment and academic performance in Texas public higher educational in fiscal year 2023 features the grade point average earned by the class of 2022 graduates who attended public 4-year and 2-year higher education in Texas in fiscal year 2022. For each student, the grade points and college-level semester credit hours earned by a student in the fall of 2022, spring of 2023, and summer of 2023 are added together and averaged to determine the GPA. 2 years ago, 380 members of the class of 2022 started on a path to higher education. 50% of the students who attended either a 4-year or 2-year public institution in Texas had a GPA of 2.5 or higher. I need to remind you, when I do this report each year, this does not include students who attend private universities, and it does not include students who have gone to university outside of the state. This is only collected from students who attend state schools.
How do you get that, Ron? I mean, are those schools reporting back to us, or do we have to get the kids?
No, they report to the Higher Education Coordinating Board.
And we pull that
And we pull the data, yes. So when we pull the taper and we pull this information, we're directed to a specific report that has every school district in the state of Texas, and we just narrow it down to ours. But they provide that data for us.
Probably should know.
The final report highlights the progress the district is making toward accomplishing the House Bill 3 goals set by the Board of Trustees in the summer of 2020. BISD students exceeded the 2024 performance target in reading and CCMR, but not in math, although math performance improved. The implementation and monitoring of the reading and mathematics curriculum and Tier 1 priorities remain a major focus this year, with regular classroom walkthroughs and with subject-focused professional development. While we're happy to see the continuous improvement in CCMR, we are very encouraged by campus reports this year that indicate that each campus is once again on track to improve their CCMR percentage. That percentage is growing, and we're very excited about what we're seeing. This concludes the public hearing of the 2024 Annual Performance Report. All of the annual performance report documents will be uploaded to the district website for viewing tomorrow. I put it here before the end of the week, but they're going up tomorrow. Since this is a public hearing, I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions the board or the audience may have.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? From the board?
Just going back, I didn't write it down fast enough, but special ed is 17% for us, and what's the state?
13.9%.
And then the ECOD?
The ECOD, we are at 67.4, and let me give you that number. I think I have it of what we are above the state for that. Let me go back to it right quick.
Is it 3 something?
Yeah, I think we're a little over 3% difference in the economically disadvantaged rate, but I gotta find that real quick. Here we go, yes. So, yeah, we are currently 4.3% higher than the ECOD average for the state of Texas.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I couldn't write it fast enough.
Anyone? The turnover rate, that is for the end of last year?
Yes,
And so is it 20%?
yes, sir.
And what was the state average? Because it's typically around 15, 16?
Well, the state, everything has been going up a little bit, but the state actually dropped just a slight bit. So the turnover rate for the state was at 19.1.
Okay. And aren't we typically a little lower than that?
Well, for a while, Mason, we were above for the state, and then we dropped below the state back around 2019, and we've stayed below it or right near it, and then this is the first time we've actually exceeded it in several years.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Redden.
Yes, sir.
Hearing no more questions, I will now close the public hearing. Next item that we have are our reports. Public comments will be allowed on each report. Our first report is the 2025 budget update and the 2026 budget development calendar and planning process by our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Luby Cancino.
Thank you.
So there's no one.
Just reading the paper.
This presentation aligns with board policy, CE, and in alignment with district goals that Brazosport ISD will exercise fiscal responsibility to ensure financial strength and secure the resources to equip and maintain quality facilities and educational programming, to ensure that our budget decisions aligned with our core values and strategic priorities, we will operate under the following guiding principles. Prioritize campus-based positions, evaluate district-level programs, and identify areas for reduction. And before we look at next year's budget and the projections for the next few years, we'll recap. The 2024-25 budget was approved with an $11.7 million deficit, and we are seeing a decrease in enrollment by 157 students. The projected ending fund balance is $32 million, which is $6 million below the TEA recommended optimal fund balance of $38 million. Also listed here are the reductions and additions to the current budget, resulting in a net reduction of $1,361,911. So this table here provides an overview of the general fund's financial performance from the previous fiscal year, and that is the first column, and compares the adopted budget with current fiscal year projections, and that is the second column in gray, and includes projections for the next 4 years. In the previous fiscal year, and that'll be the first column that you see there, revenues totaled $121 million, while expenditures were $130.6 million, resulting in a deficit of $9.6 million. The ending fund balance was $43.7 million, and that is our beginning fund balance this year, which was $5.6 million above the optimum fund balance of $38.1 million. The gray column, and that is your second column there, represents the adopted budget for the current fiscal year. Total available revenue was projected at $118.9 million, with expenditures at $130.6 million, leading to a budget deficit of $11.7 million. The optimum fund balance remains unchanged at $38.1 million, and the projected ending fund balance would decrease to $31.9 million, which is $6 million below the optimum fund balance. Then the green column represents the projected figures for the current fiscal year. Revenues from the state is expected to increase to $36.2 million due to additional funding from tax credit reimbursement. This increase is a result of several Chapter 313 industry partners receiving tax credits, which the district is reimbursed for by the state. For this year, tax credits total $14.8 million. Of this amount, $9.5 million will be applied to the INS fund and transferred from the general fund. The remaining $5.3 million in tax credits will offset local taxes, reducing tax collections to $74.5 million. As a result, total available tax collections and state aid have increased from $101.3 million to $101.7 million, and representing an increase of $455,183. There is also a significant increase in our Chapter 313 hold harmless and supplemental payments. We have budgeted $6 million, but we are collecting $11.7 million, exceeding projections by $5.6 million, and everything else remains unchanged. That brings our total available revenue to $125 million, which in turn reduces our budgeted deficit to $5.6 million. This also increases our projected ending fund balance to $38 million, aligning it with our optimum fund balance. For the next 4 years, the projections were made using the current funding formula and keeping the information consistent with a slight decrease in the tax rate. This is a legislative year, and several bills are being considered that could impact funding, such as the property tax bill and the proposed increase in teacher pay. In 2025-26, revenues are projected to decrease to $118 million, primarily due to a reduction in Chapter 13 revenue. Expenditures are expected to remain unchanged at $130.6 million, resulting in a $12.6 million deficit. The ending fund balance is projected to be $25.5 million, which is $12.6 million below the optimum fund balance. And the projected deficit, assuming everything else remains constant, is $12.6 million in the next several years. At this pace, the fund balance is projected to be depleted by 2027-28. Any questions on this one?
I like the green numbers, except, and it's a little less red than the
give a little background information on how the Chapter 313 agreement worked. If you see there, what we projected or budgeted was $6 million, and the actual came in at $11.7 million. So, and that is due to the district having multiple Chapter 313 agreements within district partners, which have provided significant additional revenue. These funds are not part of the state funding formula or an exempt from recapture. For example, this year the district received $11.7 million from these agreements, bringing the total to nearly 100 since 2014-2015 school year. Had the district not had the Chapter 13 agreement, those payments would have been returned to the state in the form of recapture. While these agreements are highly beneficial, the revenue can fluctuate from year to year, as you can see in that table. As the Chapter 313 agreements begin to expire, the financial support they provide will gradually decrease, creating a gap in our budget. Chapter 313s have been replaced by the JETI program, and the district will no longer receive the same level of revenue, and the financial benefits previously available to the district are significantly reduced. Now, some of this information, Mr. Ron read and shared earlier. I'm going to make one distinct difference between his numbers and ours when we talk about ADA is that he's talking at students full-time per student. When I talk about ADA, you're going to see the difference in our numbers is when I talk about ADA, I talk about refined ADA, which makes an adjustment for pre-kinder at half day. So our numbers are going to be slightly different when we look at ADA. So why do we have a budget deficit? We have a budget deficit due to two main factors: inflation and the lack of increase in the basic allotment. For the current fiscal year, budgeted appropriations are $130.6 million, with 86% going towards payroll costs. BISD adopted an $11.7 million deficit, and approximately 50% of school districts across the state adopted deficit budgets, reflecting the financial challenges faced by many districts in managing rising costs. Inflation is hitting everyone, including school districts. For FBISD, this means significant increases in several operational costs: a 39% increase in fuel, a substantial 77% increase in property insurance, a 15% increase in utility costs, a 24% increase in safety and security expenses, and a 13% increase in teacher pay. The basic allotment is the amount of funding that the state provides for each school district per student. It is important to note that the basic allotment is based on the number of students in average daily attendance, not the total number of enrolled students. The state has not increased the basic allotment in 6 years, while the Texas Controller reported an inflationary increase at 14.5%. Another contributing factor to the budget deficit is a declining enrollment. School districts nationwide are experiencing a decrease in enrollment, and BISD is no exception. The chart highlights this trend, showing a nearly 10% drop in enrollment since 2014-15 school year. This decline in student numbers directly impacts the district's funding, as state funding is tied to enrollment levels. Declining enrollment means declining ADA as well, as one number drives the other. Since the pandemic, refined ADA, which is used for funding purposes, has declined by 1.6%. Refined ADA is the ADA adjusted for half-day pre-K enrollment. This decline results in a loss of an additional $1 million in funding for the district. The combination of declining enrollment and the 1.6% loss in average daily attendance has resulted in a total funding loss of $6.7 million for BISD in the 2024-25 school year. This significant decline puts additional strain on the district's budget and resources. Enrollment and teacher counts. While BISD is experiencing a 10% reduction in enrollment, the teacher count has increased by 4% compared to 2014-15. This disparity means that while enrollment and funding are down, the district has been able to maintain a larger teaching staff relative to the decrease in student numbers. As you can see in the chart, in the 2021 school year, enrollment decreased by 734 students, but the teaching staff actually increased by 9. This was due to additional funding from the federal government through multiple ESSER grants. The funds were used to address the learning gap caused by the pandemic. The ESSER grant expired last year, and as a result, the ISD now faces the challenge of adjusting to reduced funding. In the graph, you can also see that BISD has been closing the gap, especially this year. To address current budget concerns, Brazosport ISD has developed a set of legislative priorities aimed at tackling our financial challenges. First, we're calling for an increase in the basic allotment and its indexing to inflation. With operational costs rising, it is crucial that funding keeps pace with inflation to maintain high-quality education, offer competitive salaries, and cover escalating maintenance costs. Second, we advocate for enrollment-based funding rather than attendance-based funding. And funding should reflect the total number of students enrolled, not just those present on any given day. This approach ensures fairer support for every student every day. Third, we urge an increase in the special education allotment. The current formula is outdated, and we must ensure adequate resources are provided to support students with disabilities in inclusive classrooms. Fourth, we are calling for an increase in the school safety allotment. Current state funding falls far short of covering these expenses. We need more support and greater flexibility to address our unique local safety needs. Fifth, we seek funding for teacher apprenticeship programs to help address the ongoing teacher shortage. Brazosport ISD apprenticeship program is successfully developing highly qualified educators, and we need statewide support to expand this initiative. Sixth, we support amendments to bond election ballot language to ensure it is clear, straightforward, and accessible to voters. And finally, we advocate for the creation of a coastal insurance index to address the higher premiums faced by coastal districts like ours. This will help ensure we can maintain adequate insurance coverage without sacrificing other critical resources. And this is a brief legislative update of the 89th legislative session has started, and Governor Abbott has outlined his priorities for the session, highlighting several emergency items. The priorities include increasing property tax relief by raising the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000, a $4,000 across-the-board teacher pay increase, and an increase to the teacher allotment to reward teachers for performance. The governor also seeks to expand career training programs to better prepare Texans for the workforce, and lastly, the creation of education savings accounts, also known as school vouchers. Balancing the budget is a 7-month process that we began on February 5th with input from principals and directors. And tonight marks the start of board involvement. Human Resources will present a compensation report in May, with plans to propose a compensation plan for approval soon after. We will also provide regular updates leading up to the budget workshop scheduled for August 5th, and by that time, we aim to be ready to adopt the budget and tax rates at the regular board meeting in August.
Any questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Frustrations?
I have a comment, frustration. Does that work? Just the legislative update, the career training expansion that the governor is pushing. If he would visit some public schools rather than the charter schools, he would see our expanded training programs. That was just an unwanted comment there. I did have a question, what was it? Oh, we are doing a salary survey again, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And again, on the operating fund, the green number looks good for this 2024. The rest of the numbers are a little scary, so we'll hopefully get some relief, but I'm still not holding out much hope. Okay, that's good. This is, and this, our applicable, could you send that to us?
Yes.
Any other comments?
So the $4,000 across the board raise for teachers, that's a one-time deal the state's giving us, right? I'm sure they're not gonna back that up every year.
As of right now, yes, but
Should it be funded 2 years,
it may
right?
be added later on in a different session.
The
It's
statement
gotta be a
is,
2-year, because it's a 2-year budget, it's gotta be a 2-year.
well, but the statement is it's a $4,000 teacher raise. Period.
2 and 2.
So that probably means 2 and 2, not 4 and 4. And that's longer than last. Do we know, does that have any connection to the minimum, state, salary? Like across the state of Texas, the minimum salary that teachers can make,
That'd be a bonus.
because this is just a bonus, it's not, that's what I thought.
So it's 4,000 for most school districts, and for rural school districts, I believe it's $10,000, so they would get a little bit more.
Do we need to get some horses, or? Put some horses on you.
I think that's
Sure the
$6,000.
And the state, table is way below what we do.
Yeah, it's like 24 or 25, isn't it?
There's a big high school.
It's
more
just
than
a
that.
bonus payment.
There's a big high school in East Texas. I'll go up there for $10,000. That's no problem.
Is, I thought I saw where there was a bill that, for $500 basic allotment, out there.
There have been multiple bills filed, and some deal from changing our funding system from ADA-based to enrollment-based. Some are increasing the basic allotment, some are indexing the basic allotment. So it just needs to all play out and see what happens. In my experience, there's a lot of talk at the beginning of the legislative session, and then it's been little action.
We should know something about vouchers pretty quick, and I assume they're gonna try to tie it to some funding. They're gonna have to tie it to something they'll put something about teacher pay, I'm sure, in there to help soften that blow for perception.
It's a bumpy road in the house.
Yeah.
One, so.
Yeah, if they get it passed, it'll have to be they're gonna have to tie something else to it.
I don't know, has it always been this ADA? I mean, was there a time where it was something different?
I think years ago, they may have been enrollment-based for a little bit, but it's been ADA since, at least since I've been in school finance, so it's been ADA-based.
We obviously, Texas is doing it correct since it's only one of 4 states that does it.
Yeah.
So, obviously,
Your budget spreadsheet probably has about 500 what-ifs in it now, I assume, for highlights of things that could change for special education, funding, and all the different things that are probably gonna be on this. It's gonna be a wild.
Yes, so the one that was shared here, it's all with current funding formula.
Yeah.
Because in my experience, it's been that's the safest practice.
A lot of talk, not a lot of action. Any other comments?
that,
You have one, how can we obtain the copies of your presentation?
If you'll email me, I can email them to you.
That would be great, thank you.
Of course. So all the numbers were projected using our current funding formula, where enrollment, or ADA, remains the same, unchanged. There is just a slight adjustment on the tax rate at the very bottom, which if the property bill passes, that's going to compress our tax rate even more so. The way they'll do it, the state will fund more, and the tax collections will decrease and state funding will decrease.
And it'll be communicated to the public that they have invested another $20 billion in Texas education, but they really haven't. They're just actually trying to fund us through the state budget like they probably should be. Instead of us doing, what we up to, 85% of our local budget is local taxes, and 25 from them, or 15, or whatever it is, it'll be, maybe we'll get to 20, 25.
The other thing that remained constant was that Chapter 313 supplemental payment at $5.5 million. Like I said, as those expires, we're going to start seeing less of that money come in. And then right now, we don't have that option anymore, as it was eliminated a couple of years ago in transition into the JETI program. So that's something that we won't be getting in a few years.
I probably shouldn't admit this either, but I think that finally clicked to me, the supplemental payment piece of that. That is based on the increase in revenue that we're seeing, but that because of the tax rate minimization, we can't receive those funds, and so that's a supplemental payment on those ARPAs. I think I've probably missed that multiple times now, but that now makes sense.
Which are it has been very generous for the school district with
Yeah.
$100 million over the past few years. And there's sometimes a misconception that the district is giving away tax dollars. We're not.
No.
The district receives whatever is calculated as the law, state provides it, and then the company pays on top of that. So actually, we get more money. If we didn't have those, we would not be getting that additional revenue. So it's something that's very lucrative or has been very generous for the school district.
Another perception issue that we are having to deal with from a public standpoint.
Yeah, I'll make a slight correction. He said sometimes, no, it's all the time. That's not understood, so, yeah. So, speaking of our Jedi, whatever, how you pronounce it, the governor's office did approve it, right? The last one came through, I mean, it went, it's full-blown, ready to go?
No, not yet. So
Okay.
we get a year to negotiate the contract, and right now our attorneys are looking at it
Oh, okay.
and reviewing it.
I'm glad the governor's taking that over. That's simple, right?
Yeah. Trying to figure out how to squeeze it.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the board?
Gonna be well and woolly.
Any comments from the public? Questions? All right, hearing none, thank you. Good job. Next report that we have, 2024-2025 District Improvement Plan, second quarter. Mr. Ron Redden.
Good evening again. In alignment with Board Policy BQ Local and each district goal, it's my pleasure to deliver the report on the second quarter progress made on the District Improvement Plan. You have a copy of the second quarter review in your board books. This graphic illustrates the progress made toward accomplishing intended outcomes during the second quarter. Specifically, 0% were discontinued, 0% were rated as not applicable or no progress, and 2.7% were rated as some progress. 76% were rated as considerable progress, and 21.3% were rated as accomplished. I begin my report with highlights from District Goal 1. Imagine Learning is a powerful tool used by our English language, arts, and reading teachers to accelerate language and literacy skills for all students, including emerging bilinguals in grades pre-K through 4. Campuses continue to implement Imagine Learning, and reports indicate that students are improving at all grade levels from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. Imagine Learning is a tool used to supplement quality instruction. At the beginning of the year, math and ELAR teachers set student performance goals with their principals. During the second quarter, principals continue to work with math and ELAR teachers to monitor progress on math and reading annual performance goals for their students. Shifting gears to Career and Technical Education, or CTE, high school campuses continue to provide career and technical education students with hands-on, experiential learning opportunities through real-world settings such as internships, clinicals, and practicum learning experiences to better equip and prepare students for and after graduation. Current year students are engaged in extended learning opportunities, and students are already exploring course options for next year. Next, campuses are providing students who are identified as at risk due to poor test performance with grade and subject level specific math support programs. Programs like ST Math and ALEX provide students with quality supplemental support that focuses on known gaps in their learning. Finally, the district provides high quality and intensive accelerated instruction through the Brazos Success Academy to students who are not on track to graduate with their cohort. I'm pleased to report that as of today, 42 students have graduated this year from the Brazos Success Academy. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Turning to District Goal 2, I begin with the addition of the 4 health and safety specialists. The health and safety specialists were added to help reduce the number of referrals for discipline across the district. They will support a 10% reduction of state-coded disciplinary actions by June 1st, 2025. To date, the number of students referred for discipline is down 26% compared to last year. Student counts for all discipline codes, except teacher discipline, which are level 2 offenses, are down this year. Not surprisingly, the fewer referrals has resulted in reducing the total number of students assigned to the DAEP. In a comparison from last year to this year, during the same week in February, the DAEP enrollment was 91 compared to 106 last year. This spot sample is consistent with what we've been observing so far for the second semester and provides insight into the overall reduced number of students at DAEP for the school year. Changes in the DAEP program that were implemented at the beginning of the school year included creating a highly structured and consistently enforced program. Reduced enrollment numbers are an early indicator of success. Moving on to how the district supports students and their families, the district is providing case managers to support students and families at select campuses through a partnership with communities and schools. So far this year, campuses have identified and referred many students for their services. Communities and school site coordinators are working with referred students to address their needs so that they're able to focus on their academics. Lastly, the district is continuing to implement the ASCEND, or the Acquiring Strength, Character, Employability, and Networking Skills with Determination program to offer additional monitoring, supervision, support, and enrichment opportunities to students experiencing homelessness. The ASCEND program is currently serving over 90 secondary McKinney-Vento students by providing social and emotional groups and one-on-one mentoring. It's a great program. Under District Goal 3, the second performance objective was the primary focus of the Communications Department during the second quarter. All strategies related to communicating the need for a bond referendum in May of 2025 to staff and community groups were either accomplished or considerable progress was made. A comprehensive 2025 bond program webpage featuring detailed facts, information, and FAQs regarding the specific projects and items included in the bond referendum was completed. The graphic on this slide is from that webpage. The Communications Department has begun to create a series of news stories and social media posts directing stakeholders to the bond program webpage and ensuring access to accurate and timely information. News releases, the What's in the Bond page, and other materials have been created and shared and will be until May 3rd, 2025 election. Additionally, Mr. Massey and the Cabinet have begun hosting informational meetings for staff, parents, and community members to explain the bond's impact on the district and answer any questions. Bond presentations for both staff and the community have been created, and the presentation schedule is filling up. Since the use of supplemental funds to support student learning covered by Performance Objective 2 of District Goal 4 is already being completed, the focus of tonight's presentation will be on the progress being made on some of the technology strategies under Performance Objective 1. The Technology Department is nearing the completion of the year-long throughput project to increase the speed of internet connectivity across the district's network. All circuits have been completely disconnected from the old network account, and the Technology Department is working on correcting the final invoice with AT&T and to close out the project. It is at the end. Very good. The Technology Department also continues to emphasize cybersecurity awareness to all district staff. Initial training was provided during the start of the school year, and ongoing training continues through phishing campaigns and the bulletin. Moving on to the final district goal, Goal 5, I want to share with you the progress the Human Resources Department is making on multiple fronts. The purpose of the district's registered apprenticeship program is to strategically place apprentices within campuses to ensure that candidates receive the appropriate mentorship and support they need to be successful. 10 apprentices completed the program in December, with 7 of them moving into classroom positions. 9 new apprentices joined in January and at various on-ramps. All 9 are pursuing degrees and or certifications in high-need areas. The HR department is continuing to partner with Western Governors University, Grand Canyon University, Brazosport College, REACH, and 240 certification to provide the apprentices with support and pathways to their degrees and certification. HR also signed a new MOU with Texas A&M University to host traditional student teachers in residence. I want to conclude with an update on the teacher incentive allotment. The district was notified that our 58 newly designated teachers were approved. HR is currently verifying those approvals, and they will provide the board with an update later this month or in March. Of the 58 teachers, 22 received higher designations. At the end of this cycle of approvals, we're expecting 180 teachers to generate TIA funding. Isn't that awesome? This concludes the report on the second quarter review of the district improvement plan, and since this is a report, no board action is required at this time, and I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions you or the audience may have.
Any questions from the board, Mr. Reddy?
Just one question, the SEND program has got 90, is that down from last year, or do we know?
At this time, I think it's about the same, maybe a little bit higher, Jay. It's looking good.
I thought they may have gotten a little higher than that at one point last year.
Yeah, I think toward the end of spring or mid-spring, we did.
Because I thought there was the little conference I attended, it looked like, I thought there was more than that, but, okay.
Yeah.
That's a definitely outstanding
That
program.
was an incredible program for those kids.
And as a Brazosport this morning, I looked in the large group instruction room where the apprentice program was going on. I watched 2 or 3 slides, I didn't understand any of what they were saying. But I guess the thing of this, I don't know what.
They were doing high-quality para training in there this morning.
Okay.
It's paraprofessional training so they can get their educational aid certificate.
See, the high quality messed me up, I guess. So. But, I guess the thing is, there's only 2 males or 3 males? I mean, we're still.
That wasn't just apprentices in there this morning.
Okay.
That was a mix of paraprofessionals across the district, and then there was another training this afternoon that had some of the apprentices.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, I was hoping to see more male teachers in there, but hey, take what we get.
Anybody else from the board?
Is it too late to sign up for that TIA program?
Coach, I'm afraid so,
Yeah.
unless you just want to get back into it. But you already said you wanted to travel up to East Texas, so
I
you
did, I
can
go up
get
there,
$10,000
make
bonus.
$10,000 to teach plus cost. But I can retire.
High quality.
Yeah, high quality, I'm sorry.
Mr. Reinhardt, you had brought up at least 4 years ago about getting A&M to be able to do their student teaching here, and we have it now.
They finally have reached the pinnacle A&M has.
They have, but I have to say, standing next to Brian Cole, I was very disappointed that I didn't get a whoop.
Yeah.
I think he thought it, I could feel the thought, but I didn't get the whoop.
Hey, he's got a coat and tie, and he's sitting in a big chair, so decor about to go through the roof.
He's an Aggie, what do you mean decor? Brian?
That's what we need to recruit, get some of the sport guys in here.
Any other comments about the presentation?
What about A&M?
All right.
Any comments from the audience before we move forward? All right.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Next item that we have under reports is a student outcome update by Mr. Brian Cole.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy EH Local and District Goal, Brazosport ISD will provide a rigorous and relevant learning experience to ensure that each student is future ready. It is my pleasure to present the outcomes report related to college, career, military readiness, and early childhood literacy and numeracy goals. We'll start this evening by looking at college, career, and military readiness by reviewing our goals, our current data, and our next steps. The student outcome goals for Brazosport ISD college, career, military ready graduates reach the percentage of graduates that meet the criteria for CCMR, or college, career, military readiness, will increase from 58% to 70% by August 2026. The target for this year's graduates of 2025 is 68%. Since setting these goals, the target for an A was changed from 60% to 88% by the Texas Education Agency. It's important to note that our team continues to strive for reaching that 88% as a stretch goal for the current school year. This chart allows us to take a look at where this year's seniors were based on data from the Texas Education Agency released this summer. As we look at the data on this slide that's shown in the chart, from the the end of the 2024 school year, 31.5% of this year's seniors, or last year's juniors, as depicted in the red box, were college, career, military ready based on the data that the state had at the end of the 2024 school year. As we explore our current data, you will see three columns on this chart. The middle column represents the latest data from the Texas Education Agency on our seniors. The final represents the percent of our seniors that are college, career, and military ready based on the most accurate real-time reflection at the campus level. You can see that Brazosport High School is reported currently at 66.7%. This is an increase of over 30%. Brazoswood High School is at 61.3%, which is an increase of 29%. The Brazos Success Academy, our dropout recovery campus, has increased by nearly 16%. You can see that between the start of this school year and now, our high schools have seen great growth in the percentage of college, career, military-ready seniors. We as a district have grown by over 25 percentage points. Currently, as a district, we are approximately 88 students away from the goal of 68% of our seniors graduating college, career, and military-ready, and I am confident we will achieve that. As we strive for our stretch goal of 88%, which is the new A, our campuses are within reach. Brazoswood High School has 121 students to go, while Brazosport High School has 42 needed to reach the goal. Each campus has at least that number of senior students scheduled for options that can result in the student being college, career, and military ready before graduation. As we look to next steps, we continue to conduct quarterly review meetings with each campus to track progress and help provide any needed resources and support from the district level. Campuses are tracking students individually to identify the best avenue for students to obtain the college, career, and military-ready status. We are seeing many students access dual credit through free tuition to achieve college, career, military readiness. Campuses are also providing on-campus TSI testing that allows students to meet the college entrance requirements. Additionally, the Texas College Bridge online course allows many of our students to be college ready through an interactive and individualized learning system at their own pace with the support of a teacher when needed. Our campuses and career, technical, and education department are working to identify any students that may have previously missed an industry-based certification opportunity, along with certifications that are part of their current coursework. College, career, military readiness is now part of the requirements for seniors to enjoy full off-period privileges. We know that the measures for college, career, and military readiness are valuable for each and every student's future. This incentivizes students working towards these attainable targets. Nearly every senior has something in their schedule that points towards college, career, and military-ready completion. Additionally, the state, it's important to note, is making it more difficult for IBCs or industry-based certifications to count for college, career, military readiness, as the student not only has to complete the rigorous industry-based certification, but also has to have completed a full program of study rather than just demonstrating success on the certificate. So we are continuing to better align our programs of study and certifications with a focus on retaining students within programs. In addition, our current seniors are also in courses that will result in industry certifications by the end of the year, as previously mentioned. They are taking dual credit courses that can lead to college, career, military ready status that will have that information both in January and June, and then in July we'll have reports from AP exams. Now we will turn our attention to early literacy and numeracy. We'll review our current goals along with performance data projections found in screeners and our middle of the year CBAs. The yearly target for early childhood literacy is 58% and numeracy is 60% of students at the meets or above performance level on the 2024-25 school year. It is important to note that 60% is still an A for accountability. The first set of data that we will look at is the December or January Star Renaissance projections. This tool is primarily used for intervention purposes. However, it does provide a statistical projection of how students might perform on the STAR test. It is important to note that it is not designed to mirror the state test, but does cover similar concepts. This slide provides campus-level projections of what-if projections for the state assessment if they were to have happened in December or January. You can see 3 columns of performance data. Approaches, which is the minimum passing threshold, and means that a student is likely to be successful in the next grade level with intervention. The meets grade level performance level, this is where our annual target is set, and the master's grade level performance. With the district performance at 70% currently for the meets, we are on the right trajectory for achieving our annual target in 3rd grade literacy, which was a target of 58%. We'll move on to math now. This slide shows similar information for math, and as a district we are projected to be above the target of 60%, which is an A for accountability, with a current projection of 64%. Next, we will take a look at our middle-of-the-year curriculum-based assessments, or CBAs. The data presented allows us to compare where we are at the beginning of the school year across the campuses in the district. These scores are not necessarily useful for projecting STAR outcomes, as the assessment does not test the whole year of learning, but rather a narrow portion of learning. As we take a look at the 3rd grade reading data, we do see some movement from the beginning of the year. Roberts and Brannon now lead the district. The most substantial increase over the beginning of the school year for our CBA is seen at Roberts Elementary, with an increase of 8 percentage points. And the largest declines are at Austin and Polk, though they are quite close to the district average, Austin being 1% below the district average and Polk being 1% below the district average. As we look at 3rd grade math, Polk leads the district with substantial gains at T.W. Ogg Elementary. T.W. Ogg Elementary increased by 16 percentage points compared to the district average. And the largest drop is at A.P. Boydell Elementary. As we seek to improve student outcomes for this year and next, we remain focused on rock-solid instruction by increasing the use of our Tier 1 instructional priorities for both math and reading. Campuses and district support are providing targeted intervention to students and classrooms. We are increasing review and support for specific learning standards that need improvement, and we are ensuring that students are familiar with and repeatedly used to the new question types that they continue to see. We are striving to increase opportunities for writing in all curriculum areas, as nearly all of our tests have a writing component, and increasing common language and strategies for writing across the district. At this time, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, sir.
I just have one question that I've asked before, and just to make sure I understand, on the scoring, the changes and differences.
Yes, sir.
I thought I was a math person until I saw this one, and it still got me confused. Just take one of them.
So I'll take Ogg Elementary, for example.
That's a good one.
So at Ogg, their CBA 1, they're at 69%. When we compare that to the district average, they are 15 percentage points below. And then when we look at CBA 2, they move up to 83%, which is 1% above the district average. So as we compare their relationship compared to the district, they went from 15 points below the district average to 1 point above, which is a change of 16 percentage points.
Yeah, I understand that makes sense to you, but our district number dropped.
Correct, but the district, the passing threshold in this sense is relatively arbitrary, because the content covered on CBA 1 is different than the content covered on CBA 2.
I understand.
it's just that I still have struggled getting the increase when we decreased the district. But that's okay. It's the second time I've asked, and I promise it probably won't be the last. It compares stuff.
It's like if the state were to have given this test, we'd be comparing ourselves to the state average. We don't have a state version of this.
Right.
All we have is the district version. So we compare all the campuses to the district average because it's the best average we have.
I understand, it's just, it just throws me for a loop. It takes me 30 minutes to go through these, go that one spot every time.
Absolutely.
Get my mind. As long as it makes sense to you guys, I'm good with it.
It's simply used for us to find ways to respond to each campus.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I understand.
And all these numbers will go away whenever we get new ones for STAR.
Exactly.
Well, that's true. Well,
And then they'll be in the zone of uncertainty
Hey,
for 6 months.
they've been late sometimes.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Anyway, this is good. I'm glad to see this. I still like to see these numbers, and even though I know they're arbitrary and everything, but they do show some trends and concerns and stuff like that. So this is what we should be looking at. So thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
Did you say any pertinent?
Any other pertinent?
Because mine was.
Nope.
All right, thank you, sir. Next item that we have under our presentation, 2025 Texas Federal Advocacy Conference Report by our one and only Mr. Jerry Atkins.
I will be brief because this has been a long night. Let me work this out. Okay, I'm just going through the things that we went through today. The federal update, this Sarah Pulduski, she's the director of the advocacy of the Superintendent's Association. She is amazing with the knowledge she has. She just rolls through it. My favorite one was the very first one there. Now in the federal government in D.C., apparently fun is back in dysfunction. I thought that was a great statement. I love that one. So, Department of Education are talking about it, but I'm not sure it's going to go away from her standpoint. Down there at the bottom, 100 days must do debt ceiling reconciliation funding. They really haven't made much progress on that, so that's a little scary. Education priorities going back up to 1776, more patriotic material. I love Danny's presentation from the bond to the kids. It's like, well, we're and they're thinking we're teaching un-American thoughts and non-patriotic, so that's crazy. But anyway, there's a connection there on the budget brief. It's not a whole lot in there, but March 14th was supposed to be the least amounts of the federal funding, and for Lauren's purpose, the Title I is all over the place. So vouchers, again, they're talking about that. They've been the tuition credit. There's 160 House members and 30 Senate members signed on, so who knows what that's going to be. Basically, they determined it's a failed education strategy, which I think we will agree to. Take money from public schools, which our governor just agreed to that. Joe sent that out a couple of days ago. It is going to, vouchers are going to take money from public schools. Doesn't work in the rural areas. That's kind of our, hopefully, fallback for the legislature. And the Social Security Fairness Act, was good for Mr. Ken and Joe, right? You got that big bucket. It's what get it done. E-rate, there was an awful lot about that. I thought that was very interesting. Basically, down at the bottom, just to say that Texas receives 10% of all the funds for E-rate. I mean, think about that. Just one state for all the funds. I mean, and we've profited greatly from that. So, again, the consumers versus the FCC and the Supreme Court on the funding is going to be the ruling on constitutionality. So stay tuned to that one. That doesn't sound like a good thing. Technology and education, we've all been through this cybersecurity. There's a lot of money out there for cybersecurity, apparently for 700 districts. I'm not sure where it is, and of course the talk of AI, which I have a hard time spelling it. The school law, the federal courts. This primarily was dealing with Facebook and personal versus history. I got posted, and people blocked people, and how public it was, and so it's just a mess. But there were 59 slides in that presentation, so I thought that was a little more in-depth than I really wanted to understand, but school funding, again, this is the group that did it last year when I was there, the economics out of Georgetown University. They didn't quite know their audience this time. They were saying the teacher shortage is over, schools are staffed at a higher level, which I don't disagree with, but anyway, they did not get a very high rating from when we talked to the TASB head guy. But anyway, chronic absenteeism, I thought this was interesting, the number of days and what works, text messages, free visits, breakfast, home visits, things like that, character development. And basically, you look at this and we're doing that. So that's the good part. That was my whole point of presenting that. Political expectations, this was done by a lobbyist who's been around for a while. He had a lot of information. He again talked about the Department of Education, immigration, citizenship. That's going to kind of, I don't think that's any news. We're seeing that. And then the day on the Hill, we visited Senator Gordon's aid, really talking about the budget and the Title I budget from the House. Proposed budget is zero. So obviously that's not going to work, but that was the same thing last year. So, and then I went to whoever's office and delivered him a thank you from the TASB for the Social Security fairness, and also added some of our retired guys. And just to show you I was there, here we are, 51 school board members and administrators. We were at the Senate building over there with that god-awful sculpture. I don't know what that is. And then we were at the restaurant the night before. So, and then my favorite slide is I wanted to make sure that Mr. Reagan got included. I couldn't do this. So. I didn't get included in this one, which is nice, so I wanted to make sure I included him. So I quit. Thank you all for listening.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Do we have any other board committee reports? Any reports from our board members? Anyone?
Oh, just quickly, I think Mr. Massey has presented the bond presentations of probably 400 participants at this point. It's my estimate, so we're on the way.
Thank you. Thanks for being there. Anyone? If not, we're going to move forward. All right. Hearing none, then our next regularly scheduled work session is scheduled for March the 24th, 2025. Next on our agenda is executive session. Executive session may be called for the purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Sections 551.001 through 551.146. Sections 551.071 are for the purposes of a private consultation with the board's attorney on all subjects or matters authorized by law. When the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney about opinion or contemplated litigation. I consider legal advice regarding any item on the agenda, and to consider agreement of a due process matter and related actions. Sections 551.72 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Section 551.074, personnel matters, appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, dismissal, or complaint. And Section 551.082 for the purpose of considering discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel. We shall return. Upon return from the executive session, it is
midnight.
9:44. Midnight.
That's
Been a long time.
It would have been 9:15 if we would have called that timeout.
I know, this is not football.
We now reconvene.
I guarantee the timeout was well reserved.
We have one action item left. Mr. Massey, will you read, please?
Yes, it's the recommendation of administration to consider approval of the agreement of due process matter and related actions discussed in executive session.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Atkins and seconded and thirded by Mr. Swartner and by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries. And unless we have any objections, we will stand adjourned.
Break the hammer.
Thank Thank you, thank you. Thank you for all you do.